When you got to back up to the wall and zoom back to take pictures of all the new models, life is good. MPC 747 United. MPC 747 Pan Am. Carmichael Airliner models. Ward Air DC-10. I'm not familiar with this Carmichael Airlines, or Airliner Models company. Nishimo Sonia with no decals. I do believe I'll be taking this one home myself. I got plenty of Japanese decals. Let's see what we got here. The MPM Ferry Fulmar, our Rado 196 by HIPM, AZ Models Ferry Firefly, Nishimo Key 45 Nick. Got the Hasegawa AR-234B2. Got a Hasegawa 148 scale C6N1. I believe that was Mert. And then we got the Pete biplane, also Hasegawa 148 scale. That's F1M. Let's see, we got the Defiant Night Fighter version, which is actually fairly successful at by Classic Airframes. More Hasegawa roof. Let's get down here, and okay, there's a Hasegawa Raiden. Hinchel 129. Hasegawa, is that the Toryu? And okay, there's the Gecko of Tamiya, and the Tamiya, they call that the Hayakushiki Shita. I'm not really that familiar with that one. Then we have a Potez Edward BF-110E. Got a bunch of stuff here by Special Hobby. We have the Skua, Blackburn Skua, the Barracuda, all the airplanes the British want to forget about. The Albacore. Then we have, here we go. Accurate Miniatures. These are great kits. This is a TBF Avenger. And then we have another Special Hobby. That's the Brewster Buffalo. That's in 148. And that is Battle of Midway artwork. I think it's got some photo etch in it. Let's see, AM Tech HS 123. Okay, what am I looking at here? Navy Cure. This is fine molds. Most of us are Japanese, but yeah, the D4Y2. That's there's a Val. That's Hasegawa. Rusa the Grace. That's a Hasegawa. Here's a famous Kate that we were just talking about. And judging by the one red band, what is that off of? The Akagi. And judging by that tail flash, that tells you the squadron leader, or flight or section leader. Okay, then we got the Jill attack bomber, also by Hasegawa. And Special Hobbies. What is this? Oh, get down here where I can see it. Ow! I hope I can get back up. Model 168AF. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, God. Ow. I just heard my knees explode. Okay. Ferry Battle Trainer. And these are by Classic Airframes. MPM, the little PE-2 bomber. I built this kit, have it on the shelf, and I think I have another one in the box, a Tamiya F84G. Excellent kit. It's Tamiya. I have built the SB2U Vindicator, this very one from the Battle of Midway, aircraft number 6. You can tell by the hospital tape stripes. Another just ridiculously detailed 148 scale kit. Great kit. Let's see what do we get next. The Hasegawa Stuka 140, most of them are 148 stuff. The Curtis Seamew by Czech Models, and that's an American airplane we want to forget we ever built. Then we have the Classic Airframes Grumman J2F Duck, great airplane. Knew some guys that crewed those things. I thought the world of. And a Tamiya Bristol Bow Fighter. Oh, we got stacks more, folks. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get to all of this, so hang on just a second. And this is just the intro video. Okay, we got the Henschel 126. This is by ICM. We have a Tamiya, Henkel 219 Uhu, the night fighter. That is a fighter, not a bomber. You could not get more French Navy than this. The Lure Newport. I actually saw a documentary on this on one of the channels recently. It's by Special Hobby. And yes, that's a real plane. Dragon models, the Salamander, the HE 162, and since he got these in a lot, there are some really good prices. This kit's only going for 20 bucks. This is a 148 scale Dragon Salamander. He said Dragon Salamander. Do I even need to tell you what those ME262? This one's by DML, $32. Got some great deals here, guy. But these aren't going to last, so get down to Hurricane Hobbies. What do we got next? Okay, here we have the DML Messerschmitt 163 for $24.99. And he's got notes handwritten on it. Contains Falcon Vac canopy, kit supplied PE parts. So some of these don't have decals, but if they don't, the boxes are marked, but some of them have extras. And so he's just writing it on the cover. Keep life simple. This is by Battle Axe. It's the Block 174A3, which I believe was an early pre-war plane. They don't have a picture of it on here. I have heard of Battle Axe, but this is the first time I think I've actually ever seen one. Okay, here's a classic, $29.99, a Henkel 111, the 148 scale from Monogram. Contains resin cockpit, Falcon canopy, but does not have decals. Still a great deal. Okay, here's a killer kit. The Doolittle Raider B25B by Accurate Miniatures, and it says True Details B25 resin wheel set included. Oh, if I'd had this for our B25 build. If you're a Doolittle fan like I am, that's the ticket. All right, BF 110 by Wingtech. This is from Cyber Hobby, but it's a Wingtech kit. 148 scale. I'm not really familiar with it, but looks good. Here we go, the TBD Devastator. This says VT8 at Midway, so that's Waldron Squadron from the Hornet, and just an amazing airplane for when it came out in 1936, I think, and 2 years later completely obsolete. But they fought the war with what they had. You could tell it's one of Waldron's planes because he was the one that got the Dauntless ring mounts to get dual 30 calibers. They were the only TBDs at the battle had twin 30s. For all the good it did them, but you know, I like the way the man thinks. Okay, here's the resin wheels are included in this Tamiya Betty bomber. This is basically a torpedo version of one Yamamoto plane. Great kit. Revell 148 scale PV1 Ventura. Revell PVY Catalina, the 148 scale, and you guys may remember I just used this box art in our video about Pearl Harbor when we were talking about the red and white stripes on the tail, the pre-war markings, and why this box art has one technical inaccuracy. None of the TBFs were in those markings when they saw battle, so and I don't think they lost any out in the ocean before they saw combat, so that's the only technical glitch on this one. And plus, I don't think any Avenger crews. The Avenger wasn't around for Coral Sea. It got its debut at Midway. By then, they'd already painted the rudders gray, and I don't think they fished any Avenger crews out of the water. And later than that, they wouldn't have had that red and white stripe. So, what can I say? And I hold my box art artist to a higher standard. Boy, talk about picking a nit. And here's the Revell Junkers JU-52, and that is 148 scale. Now this is the Fieseler, the Tamiya Fieseler. It has always been a very expensive kit, and even here it's $68.99. But this thing, the price on it is, it must be like one of their super kits, because it's every time I've seen it, it's been very expensive. Maybe something they did a limited run on, but it's a 148 scale. And I imagine, given how complex the Fieseler is, it's probably got a gazillion parts. I don't know, but he's got one. Tamiya Fairy Swordfish contains mostly PE cockpit. $49.99. Tamiya Gloucester Meteor and 148 scale. Tamiya Wildcat, $27.99. Boy, he's got all the good quality kits. This gentleman was quite the collector. And Messerschmitt BF 110 from Revell in 148 scale, $34.99. Now here's a Russian, I guess that'd be a light bomber. You don't see a lot of the Tu-2, the Tupolev 2. Everybody remembers the PE-2, but Tupolev made his competing aircraft. And $49.99, and this one is by Zhutong Model. Not familiar with them. Okay, for $39.99, despite the tattered box, you can have this Pro Modeler, the Junkers Ju-88A4 bomber in 148 scale. It's, of course, monogram Pro Modeler, and this one says, contains Verlinden resin cockpit and Falcon vac canopies. So there's an advanced build for somebody. Here's a monogram Pro Modeler SB2C-4, one of the later versions of Helldiver, $39.99. Here's from DML Models, JU-188E1 Avenger. I did not know it was called the Avenger. All right, all you Hobbycraft fans, here's a Dornier 17 by Hobbycraft, $29.99. Here's another Pro Modeler Ju-88. This is the C-6 model, and it has the Falcon vacuform canopies. Is that reading that right? $54.99. Very tattered box in this Dornier 217, another monogram Pro Modeler, $39.99, and contains resin wheels. This box is pretty tattered, so I'm not going to turn it. And at the bottom of the stack, we have the Trumpeter Wellington Mark II, 148 scale. From Classic Airframes, we have a 148 scale Polycarpov. This is the I-53 Cheka, the retractable gear biplane. I'm not familiar with Mirage Hobby, but this is PZL P11C. Okay, Super PZL, you might want to give Hurricane Hobbies a call. Although it ain't cheap, $49.99, but it is rare. The Revell Messerschmitt ME410. Here's Eschie's Fiesler Stork, $19.99. AMT's Wings Collection, the A20G Havoc, $24.99, contains True Details resin wheels. From Great Wall Hobby, we have the Focke-Wulf 189A2. Okay, from Zvezda, we have the CY2. This is or SU2 actually. That's Cyrillic CY2, and I remember flying this thing in Flight Simulator. You got to come to the store to get these, folks, because we're not doing shipping yet. $49.99. One of my favorite biplanes, the CR-42 from Italy. The great pilot Bob Hoover, they captured one used as a squadron hack. He said it was just an absolute joy to fly, incredibly agile. Here's an Accurate Miniatures TBM3 Avenger. Bunch of notes on here. The prop in this kit is too skinny. It needs to be paddle version. Okay, apparently someone had some complaints from the manufacturer. All right, now we're going to go to the ones they've already got on the shelf, including the big old monogram B29. And we got them on the floor. And I don't know, I'm not sure which ones are new. Let's see. Okay, this is Vintage Fighter Series. It's a 124 scale British Tomahawk. Hold on. Okay, here we have British Tomahawk VF2403 box art by Gerald Asher. Address here, Unit 195, Lidstep Road, Bury, South Wales, UK. Don't know how old. I'm not familiar with this kit. Okay, I'm sure one of you guys will know about it. And there's another B29 down there. Okay, from I Love Kit, we have a 1/18 scale SVD and what appears to be Battle of the Coral Sea markings. And now we've got that white stripe on the tail, which apparently was to help the LSO. And we found pictures where they're on one side and they're on both sides. Because mishaps law, no two aircraft are painted the same. Some crew chiefs just hate asymmetry. $134.99. We've also got some ships: the Endeavor, the Victory, the Pandora. All right, B-25J Mitchell by Monogram, Mini Craft, 132nd scale 0, 132nd scale American Volunteer Group, P-40 by Hobby Craft. We have another MPC 747. This one is American Airlines. I think we might have some more around here. I think these have all been here for a while. I mean, not too long, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Got plenty of armor. These things are flying off the shelves, boys and girls. Get here while supplies last. Okay, this is a 1:100 scale 747 by Aviation. Oh, wow. Okay, what is that? I think it's $199. It's $99. And we have a large scale Mitchell down there. Oh, okay. And of course, a whole bunch of model cars. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just saw this. They have the Concorde Stagecoach. That looks like a new one. That box is in great shape. Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable, man.
Oh.
Okay, well, he's got a couple of rare Tamiyas. Do you want to bring them down?
Yeah, I'll bring them down and then you can cut.
Okay, we're rolling in. And project.
These are super rare, and I'm really fortunate in getting these. It's just a very rare Tamiya kit. I have this one, which is put together, and then this, which is actually new in box, which is quite rare and quite amazing. You can see how Tamiya packages their stuff. It's really incredible. None of this has even been taken out. These go for many thousands of dollars.
So you're asking many thousands of dollars for them?
These are those things that are not for sale, but you know everything has a price. But I don't. This price is the. It would be so high, so no one would ever buy it, kind of thing. Like,
folks, I think he just threw down the gauntlet.
You can check eBay on the prices of these. It's quite incredible. Like this is quite incredible.
Do you know when this kit was made? It's a 112 scale.
1986, I think, for 2 years.
Okay.
But yeah, they just don't exist anymore.
Excellent. That's incredible. Yeah. That's like the Westinghouse Power Station or a complete slant 6 engine model. They're just not there. Or unless you want to pay $2,500.
Yeah, these are more than that.
Here's your chance, boys and girls. Be the first one on your block. When you got to back up to the wall and zoom back to take pictures of all the new models, life is good. MPC 747 United. MPC 747 Pan Am. Carmichael Airliner models Ward Air DC-10. I'm not familiar with this Carmichael Airlines, or Airliner Models Company. Nishimo Sonia with no decals. I do believe I'll be taking this one home myself. I got plenty of Japanese decals. Let's see what we got here. The MPM Ferry Fulmar, Arado 196 by HIPM, AZ Models Ferry Firefly, Nishimo Key 45 Nick. Got the Hasegawa AR-234B2. Got a Hasegawa 148 scale C6N1. I believe that was Mert. And then we got the Pete biplane, also Hasegawa 148 scale. That's F1M. Let's see, we got the Defiant Night Fighter version, which is actually fairly successful. That by Classic Airframes. More Hasegawa roof. Let's get down here and okay, there's a Hasegawa Raiden. Hinchel 129. Hasegawa, is that the Toryu? And okay, there's the Gecko of Tamiya, and the Tamiya, they call that the Hayakushiki Shita. I'm not really that familiar with that one. Then we have a Potes Edward BF-110E. Got a bunch of stuff here by Special Hobby. We have the Skua, Blackburn Skua, the Barracuda, all the airplanes the British want to forget about, the Albacore. Then we have, oh, here we go, Accurate Miniatures. These are great kits. This is a TBF Avenger. And then we have another Special Hobby. That's the Brewster Buffalo. That's in 148. And that is Battle of Midway artwork. I think it's got some photo etch in it. Let's see, AM Tech HS 123. Okay, what am I looking at here? Navy Cure. This is fine molds. Most of it's in Japanese, but yeah, the D4Y2. That's there's a Val. That's Hasegawa. Ruse of the Grace. That's a Hasegawa. Here's a famous Kate that we were just talking about. And judging by the one red band, what is that off of? The Akagi. And judging by that tail flash, that tells you the squadron leader, or flight or section leader. Okay, then we got the Jill attack bomber, also by Hasegawa. And Special Hobbies. What is this? Oh, get down here where I can see it. Ow! I hope I can get back up. Model 168AF. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, God. Ow. I just heard my knees explode. Okay. Ferry Battle Trainer. And these are by Classic Airframes. MPM, the little PE-2 bomber. I built this kit, have it on the shelf, and I think I have another one in the box, a Tamiya F-84G. Excellent kit. It's Tamiya. I have built the SB2U Vindicator, this very one from the Battle of Midway, aircraft number 6. You can tell by the hospital tape stripes. Another just ridiculously detailed 148 scale kit. Great kit. Let's see, what do we get next? The Hasegawa Stuka. 148, most of them are 148 stuff. The Curtis Seamew by Czech Models. And that's an American airplane we want to forget we ever built. Then we have the Classic Airframes Grumman J2F Duck. Great airplane. I knew some guys that crewed those things. I thought the world of it. And a Tamiya Bristol Bowfighter. Oh, we got stacks more, folks. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get to all of this, so hang on just a second. And this is just the intro video. Okay, we got the Hinchel 126. This is by ICM. We have a Tamiya Henkel 219 Uhu, the night fighter. That is a fighter, not a bomber. You could not get more French Navy than this. The Lure Newport. I actually saw a documentary on this on one of the channels recently. It's by Special Hobby. And yes, that's a real plane. Dragon models, the Salamander, the HE-162. And since he got these in a lot, there are some really good prices. This kit's only going for 20 bucks. This is a 148 scale Dragon Salamander. Dragon he said Dragon Salamander. Do I even need to tell you what those ME-262? This one's by DML. $32. Got some great deals here, guy. But these aren't going to last, so get down to Hurricane Hobbies. What do we got next? Okay, here we have the DML Messerschmitt 163 for $24.99. And he's got notes handwritten on contains Falcon Vac canopy kit supplied PE parts. So some of these don't have decals, but if they don't, the boxes are marked, but some of them have extras. And so he's just writing it on the cover. Keep life simple. This is by Battle Axe. It's the Block 174A3, which I believe was an early pre-war plane. They don't have a picture of it on here. I have heard of Battle Axe, but this is the first time I think I've actually ever seen one. Okay, here's a classic, $29.99, a Hankel 111. The 148 scale from Monogram. Contains resin cockpit Falcon canopy, but does not have decals. Still a great deal. Okay, here's a killer kit. The Doolittle Raider B-25B by Accurate Miniatures. And it says, True Details B-25 resin wheel set included. Oh, if I'd had this for our B-25 build. If you're a Doolittle fan like I am, that's the ticket. All right, BF-110 by Wingtech. This is from Cyber Hobby, but it's a Wingtech kit. 148 scale. I'm not really familiar with it, but looks good. Here we go. The TBD Devastator. This says VT8 at Midway. So that's Waldron Squadron from the Hornet. And just an amazing airplane for when it came out in 1936, I think, and 2 years later completely obsolete. But they fought the war with what they had. You could tell it's one of Waldron's planes because he was the one that got the Dauntless ring mounts to get dual 30 calibers. They were the only TBDs the battle had twin 30s. For all the good it did them, but you know, I like the way the man thinks. Okay, here's the resin wheels are included in this Tamiya Betty bomber. This is basically a torpedo version of the one I just recently built, the Yamamoto plane. Great kit. Revell 148 scale PV1 Ventura. Revell PVY Catalina, the 148 scale. And you guys may remember I just used this box art in our video about Pearl Harbor when we were talking about the red and white stripes on the tail, the pre-war markings, and why this box art has one technical inaccuracy. None of the TBFs were in those markings when they saw battle. So, and I don't think they lost any out in the ocean before they saw combat. So that's the only technical glitch on this one. And plus, I don't think any Avenger crews. The Avenger wasn't around for Coral Sea. It got its debut at Midway. By then, they'd already painted the rudders gray. And I don't think they fished any Avenger crews out of the water. And later than that, they wouldn't have had that red and white stripe. So, what can I say? And I hold my box art artist to a higher standard. Boy, talk about picking a nit. And here's the Revell Junkers JU-52. And that is 148 scale. Now this is the Fieseler, the Tamiya Fieseler. It has always been a very expensive kit, and even here it's $68.99. But this thing, the price on it is, it must be like one of their super kits because it's every time I've seen it, it's been very expensive. Maybe something they did a limited run on, but it's a 148 scale. And I imagine, given how complex the Fieseler is, it's probably got a gazillion parts. I don't know, but he's got one. Tamiya Fairy Swordfish contains mostly PE cockpit. $49.99. Tamiya Gloucester Meteor, 148 scale. Tamiya Wildcat, $27.99. Boy, he's got all the good quality kits. This gentleman was quite the collector. And Messerschmitt BF 110 from Revell in 148 scale, $34.99. Now here's a Russian, I guess that'd be a light bomber. You don't see a lot of the Tu-2, the Tupolev-2. Everybody remembers the PE-2, but Tupolev made his competing aircraft. And $49.99, and this one is by Zhutong Model. Not familiar with them. Okay, for $39.99, despite the tattered box, you can have this Pro Modeler, the Junkers Ju-88A4 bomber in 148 scale. It's, of course, monogram Pro Modeler, and this one says, contains Verlinden resin cockpit and Falcon vac canopies. So there's an advanced build for somebody. Here's a monogram Pro Modeler SB2C-4, one of the later versions of the Helldiver, $39.99. Here's from DML Models, JU-188E1 Avenger. I did not know it was called the Avenger. All right, all you Hobbycraft fans, here's a Dornier 17 by Hobbycraft, $29.99. Here's another Pro Modeler Ju-88. This is the C-6 model, and it has the Falcon vacuform canopies. Is that reading that right? $54.99. Very tattered box in this Dornier 217, another monogram Pro Modeler, $39.99, and contains resin wheels. This box is pretty tattered, so I'm not going to turn it. And at the bottom of the stack, we have the Trumpeter Wellington Mark II, 148 scale. From Classic Airframes, we have a 148 scale Polycarpov. This is the I-53 Cheka, the retractable gear biplane. I'm not familiar with Mirage Hobby, but this is PZL P11C. Okay, Super PZL, you might want to give Hurricane Hobbies a call. Although it ain't cheap, $49.99, but it is rare. The Revell Messerschmitt ME410. Here's Eschie's Fiesler Stork, $19.99. AMT's Wings Collection, the A20G Havoc, $24.99, contains True Details resin wheels. From Great Wall Hobby, we have the Focke-Wulf 189A2. Okay, from Zvezda, we have the CY2. This is or SU2 actually. That's Cyrillic CY2, and I remember flying this thing in Flight Simulator. You got to come to the store to get these, folks, because we're not doing shipping yet. $49.99. One of my favorite biplanes, the CR-42 from Italy. The great pilot Bob Hoover, they captured one used as a squadron hack. He said it was just an absolute joy to fly, incredibly agile. Here's an Accurate Miniatures TBM-3 Avenger. Bunch of notes on here. The prop in this kit is too skinny. It needs to be paddle version. Okay, apparently someone had some complaints from the manufacturer. All right, now we're going to go to the ones they've already got on the shelf, including the big old monogram B29. And we got them on the floor. And I don't know, I'm not sure which ones are new. Let's see. Okay, this is Vintage Fighter Series. It's a 124 scale British Tomahawk. Hold on. Okay, here we have British Tomahawk VF2403 box art by Gerald Asher. Address here, Unit 195, Lidstep Road, Bury, South Wales, UK. Don't know how old. I'm not familiar with this kit. Okay, I'm sure one of you guys will know about it. And there's another B29 down there. Okay, from I Love Kit, we have a 1/18 scale SVD and what appears to be Battle of the Coral Sea markings. And now we've got that white stripe on the tail, which apparently was to help the LSO. And we found pictures where they're on one side and they're on both sides. Because mishaps law, no two aircraft are painted the same. Some crew chiefs just hate asymmetry. $134.99. We've also got some ships, the Endeavor, the Victory, the Pandora. All right, B25J Mitchell by Monogram, Mini Craft, 1/32 scale 0, 1/32 scale American Volunteer Group, P40 by Hobby Craft. We have another MPC 747. This one is American Airlines. I think we might have some more around here. I think these have all been here for a while. I mean, not too long, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Got plenty of armor. These things are flying off the shelves, boys and girls. Get here while supplies last. Okay, this is a 1/100 scale 747 by Aviation. Oh, wow. Okay, what is that? I think it's $199. It's $99. And we have a large scale Mitchell down there. Oh, okay. And of course, a whole bunch of model cars. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just saw this. They have the Concorde Stagecoach. That looks like a new one. That box is in great shape. Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable, man.
Oh.
Okay, well, he's got a couple of rare Tamiyas. Do you want to bring them down?
Yeah, I'll bring him down and then you can cut.
Okay, we're rolling in. And project.
These are super rare, and I'm really fortunate in getting these. It's just a very rare Tamiya kit. I have this one, which is put together, and then this, which is actually new in box, which is quite rare and quite amazing. You can see how Tamiya packages their stuff. It's really incredible. None of this has even been taken out. These go for many thousands of dollars.
So you're asking many thousands of dollars for them?
These are those things that are not for sale, but you know everything has a price. But I don't. This price is the. It would be so high, so is no one would ever buy it, kind of thing. Like,
folks, I think he just threw down the gauntlet.
You can check eBay on the prices of these. It's quite incredible. Like this is quite incredible.
Do you know when this kit was made? It's a 1/12 scale.
1986, I think, for 2 years.
Okay.
But yeah, they just don't exist anymore.
Excellent. That's incredible. Yeah. That's like the Westinghouse Power Station or a complete slant 6 engine model. They're just not there. Or unless you want to pay $2,500.
Yeah, these are more than that.
Here's your chance, boys and girls. Be the first one on your block. When you got to back up to the wall and zoom back to take pictures of all the new models, life is good. MPC 747 United. MPC 747 Pan Am. Carmichael Airliner models. Ward Air DC-10. I'm not familiar with this Carmichael Airlines, or Airliner Models company. Nishimo Sonia with no decals. I do believe I'll be taking this one home myself. I got plenty of Japanese decals. let's see what we got here. The MPM Ferry Fulmar, Arado 196 by HIPM, AZ Models Ferry Firefly, Nishimo Key 45 Nick. Got the Hasegawa AR-234B2. Got a Hasegawa 148 scale C6N1. I believe that was Mert. And then we got the Pete biplane, also Hasegawa 148 scale. That's F1M. Let's see, we got the Defiant Night Fighter version, which is actually fairly successful. That by Classic Airframes. More Hasegawa roof. Get down here and okay.
Radio control.
Okay, audio's hot. I'm killing the intro.
Okay.
All right, brother, we are live. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another scintillating episode of Max's Models. Let me just fix this picture a little bit. Fit to screen. There we go. Okay, and I think I'll drop the kit's background and let me.
There you go.
Okay, let me stop. Oh, thought I stopped the intro.
You got both of us on the screen.
Ah, there it is. I it's just something else I had up there. Okay, so let me Windows capture. Okay, let's make that a little bigger. Okay, all right, guys. Well,
No, I'm answering one of the comments.
Well, the first thing we need to do, and by the way, from what I've seen, we're running about a 30-second delay. So the first thing we need to do is get a voice check, see if the good people can even hear us.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, guys. Good evening.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Barranca Tower. Can you hear me?
Okay, we're 5 by 5.
Okay, great. So,
Oh, somebody just looked on eBay. The 959 Porsche was $3,300.
that's exactly what Ian said it was. And and he's got two of them. That would be for the unbuilt one, but he really doesn't. I don't think he wants to sell it. And let me just.
Somebody just looked on eBay.
Okay, I'm getting a loop back here. Can you turn your volume down a little bit? I think it's. Oh, you know what? Let me turn my volume down. It's going to. It's coming. It's. And you. Okay. This is what happens when you have the lowest production values on the internet. So
we're on a split screen on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, that's,
okay. I didn't know if that's what you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm piping Zoom into OBS, which is going out to YouTube. So that's one reason we got the 30-second delay. Also, I mean, I could go straight out of YouTube and just live stream on YouTube, but I couldn't pump you guys in.
Right.
You know.
No, I was just wondering.
But this is all cobbled together. And I could also go straight from OBS without using Zoom, but again, I had to use Zoom to get you guys in. So that's since we started Zooming, it's kind of slow. Anyway, so let me throw a picture of that up here real quick, image, just so folks will know what we're talking about. Over at Hurricane Hobbies, Ian bought a guy came in with a big chunk of his stash and said, "Hey, I want to sell these as a lot," and they bought it, and they got stuff up for sale now. And one of the things they got was a Porsche 959. Now, and Steve looked it up on eBay, and they're going north of $3,000. He actually got the one that's built that you see to the right of the box, but this one's also virgin in the box. Nothing's ever been taken out. I don't think he really wants to sell it, but as he said, everything's got a price. If somebody offered him stupid money, I'm sure he'd take it. But that was quite the little score. I don't think that was part of the bulk purchase that he just did. But some of the models that he got, and of course I shot the video, but I just didn't have time or battery power to keep taking still pictures, so I didn't take that many. But this one I did get. He's really proud of this particular acquisition. This is, I think, a late 80s kit. And
nice kit.
And collectors are after it, which is why they're so expensive, especially virgin in the box. And I know RC tech has come a long way. A lot of the stuff that's included would probably be considered outdated, but it does all work. And Ian's big into RC cars, so he can, you know, he's got everything he needs to, you know, modernize this thing if he wants to. But I think he wants to keep it in the box and keep it on display. I don't blame him. I appreciate that he appreciates the rarity of it.
No, that's a holy grail kit.
So,
RCers.
well, I'm glad that he got it. I love it when people are able to, you know, to get the thing that, you know, the things that make them happy. And Max said, "Unbuilt Porsche would be pocket change for you." Yeah, I don't have. Excuse me. I don't have a paycheck anymore, folks. Let's just keep that little part straight. I am no longer the rich airline pilot. I am now the retired, not a dime coming in airline pilot. So yeah, I had to solve a large size monument to low impulse control. No model's worth $3,300. Well, you know, Steve is very low and hard to hear.
Beholder.
Okay, I got your volume back up. All right, you're gonna have to turn, I guess, your volume down as low as you can deal with it. I got to turn mine up so your voice will go through. But anyway, you know, that brings up a very interesting thing. And by the way, guys, I didn't have anything big planned for tonight. I have had trouble responding to a lot of the comments and everything because we just get so distracted. So I have decided what we'll do this week is just I'll just talk about stuff, try to read the comments, and sort of like a one big long after show. But you say no kit's worth $3,300, and I understand where you're coming from, but everybody's got a different value set. You know, everybody's got a different. This is important to me. I can understand why a lot of people, probably most people, feel no kit's worth $3,300. You're not buying the kit, I think, so much as you're buying the memories, the nostalgia, the love of a certain thing. I don't think you're paying that just for the model. My nose picked a great time to tickle. I don't want to start scratching my nose on camera, but hold on.
As long as that's all you're doing.
I'm back. So, one of the things that's driven the price of these kits up, though, is, of course, speculators. I don't see as many of them as you used to, but I can remember so many of these kits going for $20 on eBay, and I just, maybe I'll get it. And now they're $80, $100, $200 because, maybe 15 years ago, collecting kits really started becoming a thing. And,
well, you know, people know that there's certain kits that they can't be made anymore because the molds are gone.
Like that
so they take advantage of that.
Yeah, like that wagon you want, which you almost got.
Yeah. And they take advantage of that because they know that these kits are not, you know, available anymore. But there's new technology over in China that if you have a kit and the mold may be destroyed, they can 3D scan all the parts and it will cut a new mold.
But is it the same? I mean,
it's not the same, but it's an accurate representation of the kit.
That's kind of like when you buy a CD. That episode of was it the Ray Romano show, where something that happened to his father's collection of Dean Martin albums. I forget the story, but anyway, Ray gets it on CD, and his dad doesn't like it. He goes, "What do you thought? It's crystal clear." He goes, "It's not the same thing, Ray." So they finally get him some actual records, and he puts the record on the hi-fi, and you hear the crackle and the pop and everything that goes with the record playing, and he's much happier, you know, because it's part of the whole experience. So what you're talking about is kind of like getting a CD as opposed to playing the original vinyl, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? If I wanted a kit and I was going to want it to buy it and build it, I wasn't going to buy it to keep it.
Now there you just touched on the magic. Are you buying it to build it? I actually prefer getting the old Revell kits from Lodella, you know, the Lodella ones. They came from the same molds.
Yep.
My Stuka and my DC-8 are both Lodella kits. They're just Revell kits made in Mexico. I have no guilt about building them. They have little or no collector value. I've got a couple of real Revell kits that are like all of these, and I'm like, I might build a couple of these that I have repeats of, but I'm keeping at least one of all of these. These things are going to go into the kit model music. I wonder if I should contact Andy about donate over at Andy's Hobby headquarters about donating a few of these, because he's got that little museum set up.
Yep.
And the reason Mr. Van Osh gave them to me was so they would find a nice home. And I gifted out some of these. I just couldn't keep them all. I felt guilty, so I gifted some of them out to people I know that are vintage kit collectors, and I feel better for it. And it didn't really cost me anything because I had repeats of everything. And so I haven't built this Liberator. I had it as a kid, and this is all in the box, and it's all original. And I've got the Wildcat on the shelf, and I just enjoy looking at them. But what would I pay for them?
J.M. Chowdick makes a good point. He says, when I buy a kit, I intend to build it, but the collection just keeps growing, and then the stuff gets away from you. Because you have so many, it's like, what's in the queue? What's next?
Yes.
Then you get distracted. I want to build this one. And that's why you have 5 kits that are in various stages of completion on your bench.
I will, but this gets back to the value to the individual. Every person has a different priority, and every person has a different income bracket, a willingness to spend, and there is no wrong answer. Okay, people say the thing is valued for what you can get for it. That is one perspective. Okay, I don't criticize people that spend a lot of money on this stuff if they've got it and they're not starving their kids to do it or anything. If that's where they find their, you got to remember, if I may paraphrase, I think it was Jeremy Irons' character in Margin Call. He's telling gosh, I can see his face and I can't remember his name, but he's telling one of his employees that it's only money. It's all made up anyway, so we don't have to go around beating each other over the head to get something to eat. Kevin Spacey. He's talking to Kevin Spacey, and but I mean, you realize when the kids say, like, that's just a human construct. Well, money is very much a human construct. I think a dog knows what money is. So money is a medium. Technically, I think it's classified as a medium of exchange. So you don't have to take a chicken down to the hobby shop and trade it for a model. And he doesn't have to take that chicken and go trade it for a pair of shoes. But what it's worth to you is a completely individual thing. Let's be honest, there isn't that many things in life that bring you real joy. There are things, and I think we live in a world where we enjoy more joy than most of our ancestors did. The old cowboy towns and that kind of stuff, the reasons the cowboys are always shooting it up and getting drunk was that was all there was to do, And we have so many things to distract us now, but finding joy, that's something special. And a lot of us are here because we get joy out of building models. We like to create things. And whether it's nostalgia or it's just a subject matter that you've always wanted, or it's something your dad had, whatever, if you derive joy from it and you can afford it and you're not missing a house payment to do it, then brother, I say go for it. And if you're somebody like, nope, I only spend this much and I only buy what I build, that is completely, perfectly okay. This is one of those times where there's not really a wrong answer. When you start spending money you can't afford, but then it just becomes an addiction.
Well, Needham Bass brought up an interesting point. It's like wine collector. They collect these bottles of wine, and then they never drink them.
Yep.
Where the beauty of having the bottle of wine is drinking the wine.
Yep.
But they collect them, and then over time they turn bad. They turn to, it's.
But let me add I don't know if you call it a codicil or an addendum to that. There is the joy in the use of whatever you acquire, and there's the joy in the having.
Yes.
They both can bring you joy. I know people, alcohol abuse. Yeah.
But as Spock said, sometimes having is not as good as wanting.
Oh, that was Spock, yeah. You will find that the having is not so pleasant a thing as the wanting. It is not logical, but it is often true. This is true. And I'm sure a lot of us have, whether it's a car or a kit model or whatever, we wanted that rare kit model. And after we had it a while, you're like, I tell you something I almost bought. You were talking about that Helios kit, the space kit.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that really is a cool idea. I know it's something NASA toyed with. I should get one. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to get one because it's cool. And then I actually looked at the kit and went, it looks like a toy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not paying $200 for that. You know, so I got over that real quick.
Wait till next year. You'll be able to buy one for $39.
Yeah, when the new ones come out. Yeah, that is probably my single favorite thing about Atlantis models is they make affordable models of stuff that I like that I can buy and I can do anything I want with it because I'm not wrecking some vintage kit. And but some of the kits that are out there, I see what people are asking for. I'm like, dude, you are on crack. No one is going to pay that. It just, in no one's world is that worth it. But it's like my Aurora FA Crusader. It's the one that has the fuselage that pops in half. You can take the engine out. It's got the gear that goes up and down, even though it's horribly incorrect. Okay? But, and the jaw, the canopy's too big, and the intake is too big. It's kind of a dorky looking airplane. But I had it a couple of times as a kid. And because of all the gadgetry, I loved it. And I thought one day, and this is just not long before the channel took off, I said, I'd like to see if I can find one. And I think Old Model Kits had one for about $80. And of course, the nice thing about Old Model Kits is he inspects everything. You know, he makes sure it's in good shape, and if it's not, he takes the price down. You know, he lets you know. He's a very straight up dealer. And I was like, it's just not worth $80. As the fates would have it, a week later, and every time they would come available, the price would start going up on them. And I'm like, I'm not paying that. 1 week, it's patience pay. I say it's not patience paying off, that I didn't really want it that bad. 1 week, one popped up for $20. I bid on it. No one else bid on it, so I got it. When it got to me, I was lucky. It was all there. The box is right up here on the wall right now. The box is even in nice shape. Just dumb luck.
Well, Eric puts up an interesting point. He says the thrill of the hunt becomes intoxicating.
It does. It does.
Yeah. And, he's like Eric also said, he said some few times when people watch my channel and they see me open a sealed vintage kit, they freak out.
Yeah.
He said, it's a kit. It was meant to be built.
Yep.
Wild
Dad says that he doesn't think Atlantis cheap's, at least not where he's at. I'm not sure where you're at, Wild Dad, but Atlantis is the most affordable thing on the shelf. Most of their kits are ballparking. Them and Glencoe are $20 to $30 usually. And I love the subject matter that Glencoe puts out too. I got a bunch.
And the fact that they're made in the United States is non-tariffed.
Yeah, which is helping now. Do you want to? I think we touched on this before, but you want to illuminate everybody? Just remind them about your little issue with the tariff.
Yeah, I purchased a kit on eBay, and it was from a hobby shop in Hong Kong, and it said, freight was prepaid, no freight. Okay, I bought it. They shipped it to me. I got it. It was very well packed. It was everything was supposed to be. It was sealed. About 3 weeks later, I get an invoice from FedEx for $13.98. And I'm like, what the hell is this? It was the tariff duty for the kit. So I got a hold of FedEx and I said, look, here's the eBay listing. It says prepaid, no freight. I said, so I'm not paying this. And they went back to the shop I bought it from, and then they came back to me and I said, that's not what your eBay listing said. It did not say there was additional fees. It said freight paid, no shipping charge. So I haven't heard anything from them, but anything else that I've seen on eBay since lists that there will be an additional fee that will be imposed by the shipper. So, which they don't tell you what that is.
Yeah, and so, now they're getting that word. You got caught in that vacuum when it first started before they were putting the word out. Now because you got out of it, and I know some other people that did, but now you're probably going to get stuck. I miss locally owned hobby shops. I completely agree. I think we all do. I've been build vintage kits because it's either a good price or but it will be built. I agree. I don't. The only reason these won't get built is because I've got so many of them, and I've got 400 kits in line ahead of them. But if by some miracle I live to 200 and I've built all my kits I'll build these. One of the things that's happening though is a lot of I think you're starting to see the prices of the stuff crest. And I've touched on it before. You know, the kind of people who want to collect that sort of stuff is starting to become a slightly smaller pool. And up here in Canada, GTA kits $40 even for the smaller kits.
Even for the smaller. Yep.
Mm-hmm. You give them, and then this, and I will tell you right now. You talking about the model fare? $10. Chad, JM had to pay $10. My absolute favorite part of going to any of the conventions, Jack's Con, Pam's Con, Model Palooza, is the vendors, even the Nats. I mean, I love seeing all the miraculous stuff that people do, but after a while, my ego is so thoroughly crushed by the magnificent builds that I just want to go look at models that I can buy. And you were there when I bought some of them. I mean, you know, $10 for this, $20. You got it.
Yeah.
And who was it? Was it Bob Azzarelli? He was giving me kits for $5. You know, I take them. They're sitting in a box. And there's only one that I didn't get that I wish I had because I just built the Academy A37 as a test plane from Edwards, the little chase plane. And then he actually had the kit from, I think, Minicraft. And I was like, I literally just, and he even had the right decals. For $5, I should have just gone ahead and gotten the thing. I could have sent it to Ron Rogers, who runs Ron Rogers, that has his YouTube channel. He's a retired Air Force pilot and retired airline pilot who was an Air Force pilot. If you guys haven't checked out Ron Rogers' website, you know, Flying with Captain Ron or whatever it is, he's a hoot. He's a real great guy. I should have bought that and sent it to him with a tube of glue and said, "Okay, old man, you know, let me see, welcome to my world." Andy's Hobby is a pretty good display. Yeah, that's true, JM. That's why I was considering maybe sending some of these to him. I actually did send him some kits. That I was like, here, put these in the case. Yeah, I know a lot of people. It's impacting a lot of people. Well, you know, John Ashley, you're a professional the moment somebody pays you to do it. I think that's the definition. You do it for pay. If anybody's ever paid you to build a model for them, then technically we're all and you are, Steve, because you had that. You've taken contracts. You know, yeah. I got dinged by FedEx CD order from California before the tariffs. For brokerage fees on a CD order from California? Oh, your Garfield's in Canada. Okay, well, that blows. You know, as Steve can tell you, one of the problems and the reason we get so many repeats is that, you know, as Don Draper said, you know, new, people love new. You got to have new stuff. You got to put out new stuff. People aren't going to keep buying the old stuff. There's only so many model builders. You only make so many measurements. So, you know, like this.
That's the problem I have with Hobby Lobby, is that the assortment never changes.
But they know their customer base. They're not a hobby shop. They are a hobby store, different animal.
But when you go in there, you expect to see something different. You know,
and you never do.
And you never do.
Well, they did started adding the Gundams.
Well, except there's more Gundam now. Yeah. Right.
But that stuff flies off the shelves, and they are a business.
And it's huge markup. Huge.
And to be honest, and I love a lot of the stuff, and I bought some of the new stuff. I occasionally, don't tell my wife, but I occasionally go and buy a kit over Hurricane Hobbies. But what I really get excited, I get excited when I got the text today from Ian, hey, I just bought a lot of used stuff. You want to come look at it? And like, my hair's on fire going over there. Got to take the Mustang out today. Gorgeous day. And so I took the Mustang out before it gets too cold. And I could tell it had been sitting for a couple of weeks because it was like, yeah, she normally doesn't argue when I fire her up. She's ticked. I've left her in the garage for 2 weeks. Technical and professional hobby machinists, I have done decal art for round 2. There you go. You absolutely are. I'm part of the Star Wars universe. Officially, I am part of the Star Wars universe. Because I dragged the family down to the 40th anniversary of Star Wars where they were doing a live stream and we were on it. And they're like, if you're here, you're part of the Star Wars universe. Hey, where's my residual? The amount of aircraft models at Hobby Lobby has dwindled to 3 or 4. Yeah, it's mostly cars, a couple of ships, a half dozen planes. Yeah, it's gotten...
It's 80. It's 90% cars.
Yeah, no, that's what sells. A lot of them are quick build kits too. But I can't blame Hobby Lobby for this What I love is when Ollie's gets a dump of something, like, ooh, we didn't know that was coming. I'll take 4 of those.
And they're $15.99.
Sometimes, but sometimes like the Nike Hercules missile, they still wanted $24.99. They had 300 of them there. I give you
Yeah,
$10.
I couldn't figure that one out at all.
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought Monica listens to the show. She does. I'm probably in trouble. But I live in trouble.
But on the other hand, I was in a Hobby Lobby store in Salisbury, Maryland, and I moved one of the boxes, and there is the 16 scale Jungle Gym Vega funny car that was $14.99. I'm like, how is that possible?
It makes no sense. It just like it makes no sense why this bloody camera keeps going in and out of focus. It just is. Yeah, I know. It's the autofocus on this thing.
That worked, by the way.
When all else fails, get a bigger hammer. I have no idea why it does that. I've got the lights turned up enough. It shouldn't be. I know it's a little harder for it to focus when the light is down, but... Woo, I'm changing colors. There, back in focus for the moment. This thing's pretty much designed for you to sit right here. So... Yeah. No, Ollie's, I know they're a clearance store, but they do get new kits, or I guess you could say new old stock. They're like an overstock store. But those are,
not necessarily so.
Really?
They make those kits for Ollie's.
Do you know about the hobby center you live around here? I don't know about Road Artist who's once is enough curious. That's pretty good. Eric says, I wish we had all these California. They'd probably ban them since they're affordable.
Well, then, your governor could always put an import tax on them and make the $15 kits $19 or $39.
Actually, I think within the United States, I believe the Interstate Commerce Act prevents state tariffs. That's kind of what led to the Civil War, along with a lot of other things. But I mean, that was one of the big beefs. Was states actually had duties like countries.
Yes, Cass Wayne, that's true. But how it works is Ollie's has a window that they want to sell the kits in, and they open it up to the manufacturers for bid.
Okay.
And then the manufacturers go in and they offer them an assortment of kits at a price, and then they just select who they want to go with. This year they decided to go with Revell Monogram. Because all the kits that they have that are car kits are Monogram.
You know what I'd like to do is get up Nick Argento and the boys over at Atlantis and go, look, all those bad test shots, if you didn't grind them up and stick them back in the hopper, give you $100 for the whole thing. Just send me all your bad shots. One of the people that got in contact with me some years ago when I did the AMT video, AMT considered a glow-in-the-dark USS Enterprise. I think they were going to try and market it both as just a cool glow-in-the-dark ship, but also as the USS Defiant, the one where it was phasing in and out. And they did a couple of test shots. They decided it was too expensive. This guy worked at the factory and actually picked it out of the trash and still has it to this day. A complete factory test shot of the USS Enterprise starship from Star Trek in glow-in-the-dark. And I was like, I offered him $300 for it on the spot. He was like, nice try. Not even close.
There was a guy on Facebook the other day. He had a Johan turbine car.
Mm-hmm.
It was molded in turquoise.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which was kind of interesting. But, Johan at one point, any color of plastic they could get their hands on, that's what they put in the machine.
It's Mr. DeMille. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Yeah.
Scale Model Apprentice got him a 737-200 and a Soyuz rocket by Eastern Express. I've never built one of their kits. Let's see. What's the customs handling fee now? Depends on how much the model costs. Seems to be running between $10 and $20. Ollie says plenty of products. Holly says plenty of products known to the state of California to call weird diseases. Okay. Um,
What do you got?
there's an Andy's Hobby headquarters in Toronto, Canada. I didn't know he was up in Canada.
The only thing I could say about that is he uses a distributor that's in Toronto and Niagara Falls, and that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, they may be like borrowing his name. Well, the glow in the dark Enterprise I'm talking about. This was back in '69, I think he got it. It was a test shot they didn't take. So if they've done one since then, that's cool. But this was a test shot back in old AMT. Let's see who's going to be. The Tholian Web. Thank you. That was the episode, the Tholian Web, which played into an episode of Enterprise, which is pretty cool. One of their better cross the fabric of space into the alternate mirror universe. Yes, Revell does. In fact, some of those kits I was showing you today, I recognize them as old Revell kits, even though or monogram kits, even though that for some reason it was just a marketing thing because it was one company after a while. Yeah. That was fate favors the stupid. Yeah, I believe the actual expression was fate favors. Fate watches over fools, kids, and ships named Enterprise.
Now, Steve Magnante does a lot of Johan videos because of the subjects. He picks about the pro stock cars that Johan made. He's very into those kits, and he's a pretty good builder himself. I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of kits he's built.
You sent me to him. Yeah, there are. The modeling muse is the one that irks me because he just makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there grinding away and making a pig's breakfast, and he sits there at his dinner table without even scratching the table. And go, you just trim this and trim that, turn around, heat sink in the back, then brush that down. It's in it. And I'm trying to do the same thing, and I'm lucky I come back with all my fingertips. But he's got something I don't. It's a weird word, talent.
He's a good friend of Jim.
What are the odds that two genius model builders will be chums?
Yeah.
No, actually, I think the modeling muse is really incredibly. He's a gifted model builder. Of course, it helps that he has. Huh?
When I saw him do that video where he cut the quarter panels and reversed them and then used the sprue to fill in the seam to sand it, so there was no filler, I was like, what? Oh my God, that's brilliant.
You can't do that. That's cheating.
It's like, what?
No, I'm not even going to say. I wonder if I could have used just melted some of the sprue to fill the gaps in that CH-54. That would have might have. Of course, if I had scarred the thing, I would have. Let's see, Godzilla. They got a pool going. It has to be organic. If you tell me to say it, it doesn't count. Went to the stats of mostly unopened models. Airliners or tire piles, something they were going to buy. You should have bought all of them
for $5.
For $5, buy everything. Sell what you don't want. You can make, even if you just break even. Modeling can pay for itself. I made $300 selling models. What did you do with the money? I went down to the hobby shop and bought supplies. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever got 3 times as much money in the stuff you built the model with than the actual kit cost. You buy a $10 kit and then put $40 worth of glue, paint, putty, sandpaper.
Well, and now with 3D printed parts, I'm going to buy this engine and I'm going to buy this rear end and I'll buy this rear clip.
I actually talked to Simon Merks about because he's Papa Smurf, the guy who YouTube took all his comments, and he makes professionally. I mean, he is literally a professional model builder, but he 3D prints a lot of the stuff, so you can make whatever scale you want. And he was working on one of those Stormtrooper, what is it, E11 blasters, which is basically a Sterling Patchett submachine gun. It's technically a Sterling submachine gun. It was designed by William George Patchett. So he was making it for a customer. And it has like moving parts. I mean, it's all 3D printed, but it's really an incredible build. And try and stay on task here and read the questions at the same time. So
Eric's got a point.
What?
He says most of the time the replacement decals cost more than the vintage kit did.
Oh, absolutely. I was just showing where I just got this Sonya from Ian. I helped him sort the kits and everything, and you know, promoted him here. And he says, you know, you can pick one. Well, I wanted a Sonya, and he had one. It has no decals. Now I got a stash of Japanese decals. I could equip the entire, you know, Pearl Harbor attack force. But this is exactly what you're talking about. And he was only going to ask $10 for it, and I'm like, even with no decals, you know, a vintage Nishimo kit for $10 is a steal. But what I was going to say was, I asked Papa Smurf. I have noticed that the 124 scale X-wing kits, which are what they call studio scale, because when they filmed Star Wars, the original models that they were blowing up and all that stuff were 124 scale. I thought that'd be a cool. I've got a big one, but it's not that big. It's like 132nd scale. It's a big AMT kit. But I was like, you know what? Let me see if he could 3D print me one. How much would he charge? Well, the problem is that he doesn't 3D print kits for people. He takes customers, he does the whole build, and his stuff's thousands of dollars. They're not cheap, but they're magnificent when he's done. So that's really not what he does. That's cool, I understand. But there were a couple of companies that made studio scale X-wings, and I even think some Y-wings. One of them was something like Captain Cardboard or something like that. But I can't find them. There's just none for sale. They're like the Porsche. They're just, you know, they're just not out there for sale. And I hate to think of what they cost if they did. Yeah, I think it will. You build a 3D printer and print your own. I seriously looked at getting a very nice resin 3D printer. I talked to Ken about it. We talked about the deals. And I may at some point do that, but that is a real commitment. And I didn't realize that 3D printing, you can buy the little basic units and 3D print little stuff, not too much trouble. But like a nice resin printer with all the stuff, that's a process.
And it's a lot. It's $1,000.
Oh, I was looking at a $2,000 unit. I was like, if we're going to do it, just go whole hog, because I'm going to use it a lot. But it is a commitment, and I've just got so much other stuff going on right now. You know, let me get a red Sonya. Real quick, guys. I told Steve the story earlier. When I was doing my Battle of Midway video, I needed a valve, and everybody wanted 30, 40, $50 for a kit. Well, I found a guy was selling a lot of built kits. I think the owner had passed. He only wanted $10 for the whole box of them, and they had a valve in there. And I was like, oh, $10. It shows up, open the box. Valve didn't have any landing gears, but he did have a Sonya. And so I knocked the landing gear out the Sonya, puttied it up, glued it to the valve. It looked fine. And that got me wondering about the Sonya and the Ann and a few of the other Japanese light bombers. And they built hundreds of Sonyas. Its predecessor was based on, was it the Mary? They only built about 100 of them. But it was actually a really nice airplane. But they, as you can tell, it's a fixed geared light bomber. And, they were great over China where they didn't have, where they had air supremacy. But once they started facing the British, Americans, and Dutch, we were using those things for target practice. But they were a good airplane. They just weren't very combat survival. But I always wanted to have one in my collection. It's kind of one of those forgotten airplanes. Let's see here. So, Captain Cardboard. Yeah. Oh, I have a Captain. It was $250 15 years ago. Mike Salzo's X-Wing kits are the best today. Okay, I'll have to look into that. I say I have to look into it. I won't, because I do not need to be spending money. I have got hundreds of kits that need my attention. And it was just something, I saw it on YouTube. Oh, that is so cool. And I thought I'd like to have one lighted up. And I'm kind of like, I've got 12 kits just in the short queue. Bamboo. Yeah, I think Bamboo was the one I was looking at, but it was over $1,000 because I wanted the big plantain, I believe, if I remember correctly. But at some point, I might get into it. But yes, resin printing is very involved, and if I do it in the I think it's got to be air conditioned, and if I do it in my little shed, then I can set everything up, let it run, and leave. But there's really no room left in the little shed; it's all full of stuff. And if I put it in the Tarbis, then when it's running, I'm either wearing a mask all the time or I got to leave the place. So, like I say, the Babs, that was another one I really like. But actually, there was a plane that came after the Babs and before this, and I think it was the Mary. which is the one that actually the Sonya was based on. But they're all part of the same family. And the Babs was actually a very fast civilian aircraft before the war. Pretty cool plane. I would love somebody to find one of the, get one of those flying. It'd be a very pretty airplane at air shows and stuff. I'm doing a lot of the 3D resin printing in the last 2 months after getting a great deal. It's a huge learning curve, but not that bad. Yeah, Dario, I may be in contact with you at some point and or working with Ken, because you know what I should do, Steve?
What?
Since Ken's not here to defend himself because somebody missed the staff meeting, maybe I should buy a 3D printer and have Ken set it up at his house, and he can print all my stuff for me. And then he can use the printer for his stuff. And, I have my own little print monkey. I'm a jerk.
Yeah, but then you'd have to go down there and get it.
That's what the Postal Service is for.
Good luck with that.
No, Steve. Hey, Ken, why don't you come up and pay me a visit? I'll buy you lunch.
There you go.
If you cannot abuse your friends, Remember the first Ferengi rule of acquisition. Exploitation begins at home. Oh, my. Steve. Yeah. That was you, right, Sarah Jane. Okay. Yeah, Sarah, you don't need a 3D printer. Your stuff looks great. 3 kits on the bitch. All right, good man, Doug. I have not. I'm not even familiar with the Great Hobby Store. I'm sorry. I've got a small Anycubic. As I'm not looking to print car bodies, it's just fine. It depends on what you're printing. I've seen some 3D printed car engines. It was at JaxCon. This family was selling. They had every car engine known to man in 124th, 125th scale. They had just racks of them, and they were beautiful. They were little works of art.
I have one in this car I'm building that I bought, and it is spectacular. I mean, I can't believe it's as nice as it is. It just looks like they took the rear engine and shrunk it down.
Gavin, you are lucky to have friends print for you and keep them, even at the cost of your own family. Keep those friends. There's an old saying, what's better than having a pickup truck, a boat, and an airplane? Having a friend with a pickup truck, a boat, and an airplane. As long as they can try flying a 3D print RCP there. That wasn't us. Ken actually had what should have been the good sense to have someone who knew what he was doing fly that airplane. But I'm telling you, that 3D printed P-38 looked pretty tricky to fly.
I mean, we talk about 3D printing and resin printing, but that is going to be the future where this goes.
Canadian modelers from outlier areas like Flin Flon have need of transit options. Okay, I'm not sure if he's joking, if there's really a place called Flin Flon.
Yeah, otherwise known as Quebec.
Oh. Yeah, I got about a dozen on the short stack, including those 2 shuttlecraft. There's a surviving Sonya. That's right, there is a Sonya in Indonesia. I forgot about that, because the Indonesians used them also, because they were allies of the Japanese. Let's see. Oh, yes, I met Alex at okay.
If Ken starts doing all-store printing, is he going to have to charge tariff?
We're going to be smuggling, what are you smuggling? Resin-printed parts for models. There's a law against that, kid. Offshore printing, all of that. That's good. Yeah. Just the idea. Oh,
go outside the 3-mile limit and start printing, Ken.
Flint Flon, Manitoba. Okay, it's a place. But because I know how distracted I get with the stuff that comes in the box. If I start having the ability to make stuff, oh Lord. And there's going to be a bunch of Godzilla related stuff coming out. Okay, time is 7:43. That was an organic Godzilla reference. At 43 after the hour. Tick. But
you know what I saw on Facebook today? Somebody posted they have a kit of the Tokyo Tower where they transmit. They used to transmit the thing from. And I looked at this and I put a comment in. They said to the guy, all you got to do is get a scale Godzilla to the tower, and you got a heck of a diorama.
Of course. Kuda Kill is a smuggling resident. I just made me think of that. Is it Al Young, Al Stewart? You know, smuggling guns and arms across the Spanish border. I just like smuggling parts and paints across the Canadian border. we need to do an Al Stewart parody about smuggling Tamiya paints and resin printed parts across the Canadian border.
We could get a couple of drones and drop boxes of Tamiya spray paint across the Canadian border.
You know what? Have Garfield stand on one side, we'll stand on the other, and we'll make a tennis ball mortar and lob them over, and you can catch them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Godzilla -1 yet come on the market, but I will be getting one when they do. Steve already has one. I used to work in Mississauga. I used to fly over Mississauga all the time when I flew into Canada. I always had a great time in Canada.
So did I. Loved it.
Oh, you love the Mystery Theater? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. My wife made a clear observation. She goes, look, you're not, MSTK 3000's already done it, you know, although they haven't done everything. Stop yawning. Cover your mouth, turn off your camera. That's contagious. But they sell tons of Godzilla stuff at Tokyo Tower.
Yeah.
So should the people in the Empire State Building sell little crushed B-25 models? What do you think? Too soon?
Too soon. Too soon. They should sell King Kong models.
Yeah, that's what they are. What she said, what you need to do is do that, and you guys poke fun at your own videos. So in other words, she's like, make a video, you Stephen King get together, poke fun at it, and then put it together in there. And I'm like, that might be a once a month thing to do for fun. But I think my favorite MSTK 3000 is still. I mean, they're all pretty good, but I think it's still Giant or Deadly Manus, because they had when the jets are taking off formation. Oh, look, the new codependent Air Force, and he gives a signal to pull chocks. Hail Ming!
Now the best one is Bride of the Monster.
Oh, is it?
When did you ever see that movie with Bela Lugosi?
No.
Bela Lugosi is a scientist from a Eastern European country who was developing a race of supermen, and he had to leave the country. So he's in this ramshackle house in the middle of a swamp area outside of this little town. And so he starts kidnapping people to experiment on. So he kidnaps this reporter's girlfriend, or the police guy's girlfriend. So they're going out to the house to get her. And as they're driving, you see a shot from the front of the car, and it shows the front wheel turning, and it's raining. And the Mystery Science Theater guys come on and go, and Senator Kennedy's car approaches the bridge. Let me tell you, I almost fell off the couch tonight. I was laughing so hard, I was crying.
I actually made a comment recently very similar to that. I don't know if you guys, and then we don't get political here, so this is not a political thing, but there's a Iranian immigrant millionaire here who came here with nothing. He served in my unit, 101st, after I did, named Patrick Bet David, and he's got a YouTube channel called Valuetainment, and he's become a big player, a big money player in the world. And this guy's totally up from the bootstraps, and he had John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan for the People, the country's largest injury law firm, who's a billionaire, by the way. I didn't realize that Morgan & Morgan's a $2.5 billion firm. Anyway, he was talking about he was buddies with Teddy Kennedy, and that they, because he was a lifelong Democrat, and he talked about, me and Teddy just got along from day one. I couldn't resist. If he'd driven a Volkswagen, he'd be president today.
Yeah. Well, that was an ad in National Lampoon. Meanwhile, so Kudakilla said, and it's true, I've seen it, Monsters in Motion has Godzilla tree toppers. They have one that's Godzilla's head and one that's Mecha Godzilla's head. and they light up and make sound, and they blow out like steam from their mouths.
Torgo, Attack of the Giant Leeches. By the way, I just saw a video today about a Japanese kaiju movie that they never finished. That was about giant rats because they didn't want to do the suitmation, so they built the miniatures and they let the rats go on the set. But they bought these like lab rats, so they just kind of all sat around and didn't do anything. They couldn't get them to move. And I was thinking, put a cat in there, they'll move.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So they wound up getting feral rats to do it, and they go watch it. It never got made. They had said the rats pooped all over the set. They contaminated it. They wound up having to leave. They shut down the production. It's hilarious. It's about a little 20-minute documentary somebody did. Let me see if I can find. It's a Japanese name that of course I have no idea. I saw it not that long ago. Let me check my history real quick. But just recently, it was kind of a legend in Japan, the unmade kaiju film, and they actually very recently, like this year, made a 45-minute quasi-documentary, Nezura, Nezura, the failed kaiju movie Nezura by Paper Fins, Finz. And it's already got 60,000 views. Failed production of the now canceled Daiei film Giant Horde Beast Nezura. But it's freaking hilarious.
Meanwhile, J.M. Chaldick says the best MST3K joke was in a movie called The Sidejackers. There's a guy in a hill with a bolt-action rifle, and Crow says, "I found this in a warehouse in Dallas." And then Cass Wayne says, thinking of MST3K, I find it funny that Joe Don Baker was mad at them for years over them putting on their take on his Mitchell movie.
Mitchell movie? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
he played this rogue cop named Mitchell. It was just a...
Well, I imagine he kind of typecast. His breakout film was Walking Tall. And
Yeah.
So he was always playing a cop or a criminal. And
Paul Adams' Attack of the Giant Leeches was a very good movie. We have to talk.
Come on, one of my favorite King Kong movies is King Kong Escapes. Which, by the way, yeah, I know you guys probably saw the video, but if you didn't, the girl that played Lieutenant Susan Watson, her name is Linda Jo Miller. And I want to talk about this for justice. I actually thought maybe we should see about if she would come on the live stream. She's in her mid-70s now. Maybe a little... Well, she's... I guess, anyway, point being that that's not her voice in the entire movie. I think one line of her voice may have made it in the movie, and she was not happy about the dub over because she goes, "I don't sound anything like that squeaky Barbie doll voice."
Yeah, she sounded like a little kid in the movie.
She did. And the thing was, she goes, "I spoke passable Japanese and English was my native tongue." She was a military brat. And the short story is, one of her friends was when she just turned 18, and one of her friends, a very pretty Japanese girl, and by this point she'd been there a couple of years, so she spoke passable Japanese. And one of her friends said, "Hey, listen, if you want to make some extra money, I make, money for clothes and shoes and things by doing these little modeling jobs." And, a reasonably attractive blonde girl, 18 years old, didn't have any trouble, getting modeling gigs for clothing stores and stuff. And she did them. And apparently one of the guys over at Toho saw her on the cover of a magazine. It was just a local, Japanese magazine. He goes, "Get this girl. She's got the perfect look, for the movie we're making." And you talked about how Toho had the King Kong right till the end of the year, so they decided to crank out another movie. And her and Rhodes Reason were the only two Americans in the movie or on the set. And the other Anglos you see in there, I don't think are Americans. But anyway, she was, kind of stunned and shocked, because she didn't do an audition or anything. She just had a meeting. Well, her mom came with her because she wasn't going to let an 18-year-old girl go loose, in Japanese Hollywood. And her mom said, "No, that's not enough money." They basically doubled her salary, which she didn't know any better. So mom was a tough act to follow. She knew how to play the game. So they filmed the movie, and she could not have been happier with the way she was treated. She talked about the directors and the other actors. They were all so friendly to her and genteel and treated her with great respect. You know, very Japanese. And when the movie was over, it wrapped. She didn't see it, at least not in America, and she'd never seen the American dubbed version. So I don't think they showed in theater. So she got her money for the thing, and she went on. Well, I don't know if it was the same friend or another one. Not long after they'd done King Kong Escapes. And by the way, she did meet Haruna Nakajima. He played Kong in that movie, so he's done. But he was in costume when she met him. So all the pictures of him, he's in full costume. But I think she did actually meet him out of costume one time. But anyway, but she talks very favorably about the people at Toho working with them. And I mean, it's an 18-year-old girl who got to be in a movie. This is like, she goes, I didn't appreciate just how lucky I was. But anyway, when she was done, not long after they'd done that, I think it was the same year they wrapped, her friend goes, hey, some friends of mine in this movie they're making over here. Let's go over and take a look at the sets. And she could still, they knew you could still get on the studio. Well, it turned out to be the set for the Green Slime. And they're looking around, and one of the directors saw her, and he goes, oh, we just kind of, he goes, you girls want to be in the movie? It's like, sure. So she plays the nurse that's got the bandage on her head, you know, and a couple of things. So she got a second gig. You know, I don't know if she got a credit for it or not. So she didn't get a second. She came back. Well, then the family moves back to the United States. Well, she never, Rhodes Reason had told her, look, if you want to pursue acting, I'll get you an agent, you know, and so he did. And she said she had a couple of meetings with Hollywood agents, and they were just, Hollywood, it was deplorable. It was despicable. The way they treated her. I mean, you know, in Japan, maybe partly because she was, you know, an Anglo or something, but they were all very respectful. And I don't have to tell anybody here about Hollywood's reputation. You're just another teenage actress, you know, we don't care. And so she went on, and she stayed in the entertainment industry in other capacities, largely administrative, but she like, you guys can have that. I think she was on one episode of My Three Sons. And but it was really interesting. She didn't know people were looking for her. Apparently for about 15 years there, she dropped off radar. She had no idea, because she was completely out of the movie business. And before the internet came around, she had no idea that people, hey, whatever happened to the girl from King Kong Escapes? And there are actually fan clubs trying to track her down. Finally somebody did. Now she goes to conventions and stuff.
She was on Creature Features one night.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, they had her on as the guest. She was very nice. She was very...
well, if she's doing Creature Features, I doubt we're going to get her on this program, but we could try.
Maybe for Halloween we'll dress up and she'll come on.
But,
well, you know...
And by the way, she's not blonde.
Meanwhile, Garfield's talking about how American distributors didn't like a lot of the international dubs, so they dubbed the voices to make it more Americanized. Did you know that in Dr. No, Ursula Andress's voice was completely dubbed?
I didn't know that.
That was not her voice.
Rob Altus, I had a crush on her with that movie. Yeah, yep. You and every other 9-year-old boy.
And Goldfinger, Gert Frobe, he did not speak English at all. He was dubbed.
Really?
Yeah.
That wasn't Kurt Jurgens. That was, oh God, he played
Stromberg. Stromberg.
Huh?
He played Stromberg in.
No. But I remember I had the actor's name and it slipped away from me. He was also on The Longest Day as the fat sergeant that's on the beach with the coffee when the shells come in.
Yeah.
And I was like, so he survived that to become Ulrich Goldfinger.
Yeah.
And JM, she actually said she was probably too young and naive to understand the casting couch. If anybody made any of those kinds of advances, it went past her. Actually, what she said was just how rude they all were. They were just, you know, rude and nasty. And the Bond films did a lot of dubbing. Okay, well, I didn't know that. And, well, that wouldn't be surprising because they're made in England. They have it's taking place all over the world. So Claudia Cardinal was dubbed in Once Upon a Time in the West. But I don't think she was dubbed in The Professionals. Maybe her English got better. I don't know. Or, you know, but then in Professional, she was playing a Latin woman. So, Yep, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And it was not dubbed. Okay. Um, Chitty Chitty Bang
Yep.
Bang. I love that movie. Jack Lemmon, when he meets his doppelganger, the drunken king. More rum raisin. Or for some reason, I remember that line when they're having the pie fight. And he gets hit with a pie. Ooh, rum raisin. More rum raisin.
Yeah, Sluggo, you're right. Ursula didn't have to talk.
No one was listening anyway. Yeah, Hollywood was what Obi-Wan was referring when you'll never find a more wretched and play the high wretched place of high wretched. You know the line.
Place of scum and villainy.
Yeah, it was either Hollywood or DC, maybe Chicago. Lana Wood, Natalie's sister, my favorite Bond girl. I'm really not sure which one is. They're all great. I mean, they're Bond girls. It's like you're trying to pick your favorite Hammer girl.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Really.
After a while, does it really matter?
No. No, it's just how you work out the rotation.
Oh, you're in trouble for that one. You're gonna get it. I think that's my favorite line from the Iron Giant when Hogarth is watching the movie. Oh, I left my keys back in the lab. He's eating, like, pouring whipped cream in his mouth. You're gonna get it. I don't know. I watch new movies that are like horror movies and stuff, and they just get too gory. The old movies, maybe as much for budgetary reasons as well as restrictions, they just had more tension building. You know, you didn't have to see the gore. Gert Frobe, that was his name. Gert Frobe.
Yeah, the old movies had suspense, they had lighting, they had music, they had a story. It wasn't just slash and rip and tear, and it wasn't to disgust you. It was to scare you.
Yes, and it did.
Yeah, it did.
The correct Bond girl answer is all of them. Hello, good night. Okay. John Wayne as Genghis Khan is generally considered to be the worst case of casting in history
ever.
Hey, Dick Van Dyke turned 100. Way to go, man.
The interesting thing is when they filmed that movie where he was Genghis Khan, a majority of the cast all died from cancer.
Yeah, it's out where they used to test the atom bombs. Yeah, well,
because they were downrange from where they tested the atom bombs.
A pack and a half of Lucky Strikes every day didn't help.
Yeah. I mean, just think of it. Back in the 50s, when they were testing the A-bombs, they used to take people from the Las Vegas casinos by bus to a hillside next to where they were exploding the bombs, and it was like an event. They brought a picnic lunch, they had, and they watched it. And then they put them back in the bus and brought them back.
You could still sell that today if they were doing it. Tom Fox is talking about Vincent Price movie scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Absolutely.
Dude, you could not get me to a Vincent Price movie as a kid. I might go see Godzilla or King Kong. There is no way you're getting me to a Vincent Price movie. You'd have dragged, especially Dr. Phibes.
His movies were great.
Yeah. And the thing was, apparently Vincent was the nicest guy you could ever meet.
Yeah.
Who names her kid Hogarth? Well, it was the 50s. Probably a family name. Daniela Bianchi and From Russia with Love.
Yeah.
I can tell you my least favorite Bond girl, and nothing against her. She's very pretty. But I was just never Jane Seymour. She was just kind of always, to me, just sort of a average-looking girl. You know, probably looks like somebody I used to know or something. But I was never like, well, she's not really the knockout that a lot of the others are. But everybody's, it's personal taste. Everybody's different.
And the one you can't really count as a Bond girl, but she was a Bond girl, was Diana Rigg.
She was the Bond girl. She's the only one that married him.
She was the main character. A lot of the Bond girls are.
But I mean, she literally had the name Bond at one point, so she is, Pussy Galore. Yeah, that was. Oh gosh, I just had her name and it slipped away. But
what movie?
Pussy Galore. That was
Honor Blackman.
Honor Blackman. Yeah.
Who played the role that Diana Rigg had in the Avengers before her?
Really?
She wasn't named Mrs. Peel, but she was
The female lead.
First female lead with Patrick.
That's probably why they
McNeil.
cast her as Pussy Galore then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll take a water heater robot over a lot of the slashy stuff they have. And by the way, you don't want to know how much a water heater robot kit model costs. Those things ain't cheap.
No,
Yes,
Monsters in
Bombable.
Motion has them.
You never see the night. Yeah, of course not. They wouldn't have let it in the theaters if it had.
No, but look at it this way: between the music, the breaking of the shower curtain, the blood going down the drain, they scared the crap out.
Which, if
of
I'm not mistaken, was actually chocolate syrup.
Yeah, it was chocolate syrup. It was Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Yeah. Blackman also did Honey West.
No, Honey West was Anne Francis.
Okay. I'm not touching that one. Kathy Gale was in Honor Blackman in the Avengers.
Yep.
Tara King. The old horror movie's always been more horror than slasher flicks. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, The Exorcist was going to scare the crap out of people. I'll tell you one I liked though was John Wick. Not John Wick. Constantine. It has John Wick. So I've watched that several. That was. But come on, they've got what's his name? The Russian actor Peter. Good
Ustinov?
God, I'm slipping. Huh?
Peter Ustinov?
No. He's still acting today. He's he plays Lucifer in Constantine. He's always playing a Russian because he is Russian. He's the one that was talking about, if anything, the stories of John Wick have been watered down. God, it's going to come to me. I'm getting to that point where it's starting to bother me. Sometimes I have trouble snatching stuff back. But he was one of the killers in Fargo, the one that put the other guy put Steve Buscemi in the wood chipper.
That big guy. Yeah.
Must be your friend there in the wood chipper. That's the one line of that movie everybody remembers. Crap, I'm going to have to look at it. I'm going to be mad when I get it, too, because I should know it. Stormare. Peter Stormare. His portrayal of Lucifer, and you've seen the scene. You've seen Constantine, right?
No.
Oh man. Oh, John, didn't think you'd make the same mistake twice. You gotta see it. First off, it's not gonna. But his portrayal of Lucifer is just definitive. I mean. What you want, John? An extension? I mean, it's basically a scary, smart-ass Lucifer. He's Norwegian? Okay, maybe he's Norwegian. He often plays Russians. He played the Russian in Armageddon. Lady, in Russian Space Agency, I am big man.
Eric, come on. Young Frankenstein was a comedy. Come on.
What?
Eric puts up, Young Frankenstein scared the hell out of me. That hump shifting from side to side was inhuman.
Oh, no. What hump? Remember?
Who was the first?
I can fix that hump. What hump?
The first James Bond was Barry Nelson.
That was a TV show. That was only played by an American.
But it was the first time anybody portrayed James Bond.
Yep, and that was in the 50s, I think.
Yeah.
That was probably, might have been live TV.
It was. And Peter Lorre played Le Chiffre.
Yeah. So.
And then in the movies, it was Sean Connery.
It's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
He must be, he was pronounced Igor. God, I
Frederick
laughed.
Frankenstein.
I had heard my brother had the Young Frankenstein record, so I'd heard it a dozen times before I saw the movie, and I still laughed my butt off. I love Kenneth Mars as the one-armed chief of police.
Yeah.
He cheats at playing darts and everything. Yeah. It's been a long time since we had a riot, and I think it's about time we did. And they're like, what? I said, I think it's about... They had to keep translating.
Talk about things you couldn't make today. I mean, look at the producers. You know, the main song in the show is "Don't be stupid, be a smarty, come and join the Nazi party."
Yeah, I thought it was springtime. Or the name of the play was "Springtime
for Hitler.
Like,
look at Blazing Saddles. You couldn't make that.
You could even in the '80s. I think it was in the '80s or certainly in the '90s. He said that there's no way. Mel Brooks said there's no way you can make Blazing Saddles today. But. Oh boys, look what I found. That movie never gets old. Well, raise my rent. You are the kid. Man, Slim Pickens had a line I can't even repeat on a live stream, you know. Ty Taggart, what happened to your head?
And we wonder why we grew up to be what we are today.
I'm glad we grew up in an area where you could still be honest about stuff. You couldn't make Smokey and the Bandit today. Yeah, well.
Well, yeah, it's because electric cars wouldn't cut it.
I was going to say they'd laser tag your car and that'd be the end of it. You know?
Yes.
Eastbound and down, baby. Well, a lot of these movies were also products of the time. Smokey and the Bandit may very well be one of the most 70s movies ever made because it was very much a product of the... And Convoy and all those others were popular because of the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, which came out of the 73 oil embargo. So, you know, I used to think the 70s were the worst decade in history, and in some ways they were, but they had a lot going for them that I didn't think I'd come to miss, but I do. I don't miss 8 tracks, you know. I don't miss bias ply tires, but and I don't miss 70s vintage, you know, malaise cars, you know, but I really think, that even including cars today, nothing beats the 60s for style on cars. 67 Camaro, the 60s Corvettes, the GTO is still my favorite looking car. I'm not saying every car from the 60s was great, but their hot rods of sports cars, the Mustangs, the Mach 1s, what did Bullitt drive?
Mustang.
Yeah, but what was it GT?
68.
You know, they've never made a better looking car. They were balanced looking, and they looked aggressive. They weren't terribly streamlined, but tell me a modern car that looks as appealing. And you could tell what they were, you know, 4 blocks away.
Tell you one thing, in real life, you never would have caught that Charger.
No. I actually saw several car videos by car guys that were talking about. I don't know if they ever did. I'd love to see the Top Gear guys on Bullitt.
Oh.
Which, by the way, there was like an hour-and-a-half interview with one of the guys that started Top Gear. He talked about dealing with the BBC and the whole Clarkson affair and everything, and how they actually thought they could do the show without Clarkson. And it was just like, you know. And
I actually think, in my heart of hearts, that Clarkson had already cut the deal with Amazon and just did that to get out of the contract.
I don't think so, because he talked about what was going on in the background of the BBC, and they were meddling with the show. And you know, Jeremy's not known for being a terribly patient guy with certain things. And they didn't talk about it at one point. They wanted to replace one of the characters who was someone who was younger and not like them. And they were like, you do realize... They found out that their demographic had improved with young people, Asians and blacks, young men. And he goes, so let's put a young Asian or black guy on this show. And they were kind of like, you do understand they're tuning in of their own volition to watch 3 middle-aged white guys poke fun at each other. That's the dynamic. You're not, you know, and you know, like, oh yeah.
Why is it the most watched show in the world at the time?
Because you have 3 middle-aged obnoxious Brits poking fun at each other doing stupid stuff on the road.
It's like my wife says. She says it's like watching 3 12-year-olds. I said, and that's what makes it
fun.
Hilarious.
And I'm not sure that isn't the charm of this live stream. Yeah, well, it'd be 3 if Ken. It would be 3 if Ken would pick up the. Where is he? You know what? I better not get snarky. I'm going to feel bad if I make some snarky comment and something bad has happened. By the way, this I don't understand. I got my little lighthouse up there, and this is the light that goes in it with the 2 watch batteries, and it bloody LED's burned out. And it's powered by a couple of watch batteries, which is the correct watch battery. How on earth do you burn out an LED with a watch battery? At least I'm pretty sure it. I don't know if the camera will focus on this, but it looks burned out. I mean, it's black right there, so I'm pretty. And it's got the little resistor and everything in there, so I don't know.
It's melted.
Yeah, I don't know how the heck that happened. Well, it may have gotten old, but they still had a heck of a viewership. In fact, the producers and them said they got death threats after they canceled the show. And yeah, maybe. This actually has. It's not a resistor. By the way, this is pre-made out of the box. I didn't build this. It comes this way from Atlantis, but it has this. I don't know if you can see it. It has this little electronic chip right there. Because I think it's a capacitor because it's like flashes, and it's all pre-made. So I'm not sure if it's worth trying to change the bulb because the capacitor may be bad. I mean, it's just.
Paul Adams says that's something I'd not thought of before. Top Gear and Max's Models Livestream are exactly the same thing.
I'm gonna pop the batteries out of here and save them. I don't know if I'll fix this or not. But let's see. Okay, what's everybody saying here? Packer.
They're talking about movies and cars.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I want to do tonight, instead of trying to put a whole thing together like it, I did not spend the day getting ready for this. Well, I kind of did because I made that intro video, but I didn't plan to because I just wanted to have sort of just a bull session for a couple hours, let everybody talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. And so this whole thing's basically one big after show. We've already gotten off of models, but if you guys want to loop back, talk about models, whatever you want to, put it down here. We're going to try and be a little more responsive to the comment threads tonight, because I am curious about something. I'm pretty sure this is the same. Oh, this bad boy's. Oh, it's still on the plastic. I didn't even open the box.
Has that got a header card on it?
Yeah, it just says Nishimo, yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
But actually, man, there's more to this kit than I thought. There's like 4 runner trees.
Sarah Jane.
This is for a fixed geared airplane. It's even the tail section. It's top and bottom, which means I can paint them separately ahead of time. That'll save me a little grief. That's all right. This is a wee bit more involved than I expected, but that's cool. I mean, Nishimo makes nice kits. Here's the clear parts in a sandwich bag, and well, I'll put that into the Japanese aircraft. I want to do a. Well, no wonder it's got so many bombs. It carries 6 under each wing, like the little 100 or 200, probably 100 pounders. Cool. I love airplanes. You don't have a hair on your head if you don't build it right now on the live stream. I actually considered doing that. I didn't realize the kit was that complex, but I do have that S kit in the bag over there of the Cougar I've been thinking about getting onto. Thing is, I got to paint it, and I can't paint in here. I got to paint out in the shed. Mother of the Car voted the worst TV show of all time. I don't know. Is it as bad as that one with the shrinking priest? The British show? Where the priest drives the old ancient car and can shrink himself and fit inside a briefcase or something? Yeah, we've gone off on a tangent about models.
Yeah, it's a real tangent.
100-pounder frag bomb is a dedicated close air sport, yeah. Yes, there is. It was a Porterfield, if I'm not mistaken.
And it was a 1928 Porter, and it was made by AMT.
Yes. Never had a... Now, Dragon kits, DMLs, they're like these ICM kits. They can be good kits, but you definitely The 100 pounders, actually, 100 pounders are pretty dangerous. It's a good anti-infantry bomb. There's no point in dropping 500 pounders on infantry in the open. You want to scatter 100 pounders, far more effective. And I'm sure this thing could probably carry bigger stuff under the. One of the problems the Japanese had, a lot of their aircraft were very single mission. Most airplanes back then were, actually. I guess that's not fair to the Japanese. But whether by design or not, airplanes like our Thunderbolt were more versatile in that they could just carry so many different things. They had 8 guns. You could put the rocket tubes on them. You put bombs on them, fuel tanks, whatever. Some of these aircraft looked like they were kind of rigged to do just one job, and but those were the times. The technology was still new. I'm not really being critical of them, but planes like the Thunderbolt and the P-38 wound up being far more, what would you say, multitasking aircraft. Kind of the first multi-role airplanes, but even if kind of by accident. As a clue trooper once said, there's a time and a place for talking about models, and this ain't it.
Now, here's an interesting comment about it's about time and Car 54 were done by the same company, I think, which was probably true. But nobody ever did a Car 54 model or toy. Which, you know,
I prefer laser guiding 2,000-pound boom things. Yeah. I have not. The only border model I have built is the Arizona, but it wasn't originally a border kit. They bought the molds from someone else. I've heard pretty good things about them, but I think, isn't Border getting the Wingnut Wings molds?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's like those airliners. That Ward Air DC-10. I actually do have a picture of that I can put up here. Let's see here. Image. I found Ian had a bunch of models from companies I'd never heard of, and one of them was this Ward Air DC-10 by a company called Carmichael Airliner Models. Turned out it's just a reboxed Airfix kit. And so, you know, I was like, okay, so basically that's just an Airfix DC-10. Although it's nice to see somebody did a model. It's a Canadian company, and I think all their airliner models were Airfix kits. But it was nice to see somebody did a model of Ward Air. And I know the Canadians know who Mr. Ward was, Ward Air. I knew of them, but I didn't know that much about him. And then only about a month ago, I saw a very lengthy documentary on him. That is one interesting guy. Okay? He started off as a bush pilot and wound up with an airline that had wide bodies and everything else. And I listened to him speak to the Canadian government, to their, I guess it's their equivalent of the FAA and the Bureau of Commerce. And I was like, this guy is sharp. He had a much better understanding of economics than the people on the board. He was talking about how if you really want to help us out, you know, get rid of all these rules, let us compete with Air Canada and Canadian. And it was just, the guy was sharp. And I really honestly think that the Canadian government was holding him down to protect Air Canada and Canadian. So he just understood economics and the airline business, and it helped that he had started the business. You know, often the guys who start a business and survive in it, they know what they're doing. But one Canadian also did reboxing the Revell airliner kits. Yeah, that maybe, yeah, that doesn't shock me. It's actually, I mean, anybody can. Tootie and Muldoon. God, that drove me out. That annoyed the crap out of me. How he did not shoot his partner, I did not know.
That show was hilarious. Really was.
Yeah. Yeah, when Ward Air was bought out by Canadian Pacific, the times had changed and everything, and they realized that they had to do that. But anyone heard of the DML Sky Knight series? No. I did build the SPAD of Eddie Rickenbacker, but it wasn't a DML kit. I understand the DML kits do require some fitting and stuff, but they make a lot of interesting subjects. Car 54 was filmed in the Bronx to avoid mistaken identity. The police car was painted red and white, and it was in black and white. Yeah, because back then NYPD cars were green and white, weren't they?
Correct. When they were black and green and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they could paint it red and white. No one would mistake it for a real police car. They had to do the same thing on Adam 12. When they were filming Adam 12, the number on top of the car began with a 0, I think, which none of the LAPD cars did, so that the helicopters, if they looked down and saw it, they knew it wasn't a working unit and wouldn't try to have it dispatched. Yeah. Yes, there is a kit of the MASH helicopter now. I forget who makes it, but there is.
There's a Revell kit of it.
Is Revell, but there is an H-13 kit out there, the MASH helicopter. And one way you can spot a proper Korean War MASH helicopter is the gas tank, which is right behind the rotor mast, is horizontal. The later Bell 47s are the big Mickey Mouse bulbous fuel tanks, carries a lot more fuel, but they have more power. A lot of people don't appreciate how much a few hundred pounds matters in a helicopter. They fly on a very thin margin of power. Got a hair in my mouth. Hope it's one of mine. Let's see. Excuse me. There it is. Revell licensed MASH and Academy just did a Korean War H-13. I was looking up, because I'm working on that Sky Crane, I started doing a little research on it, and I always wondered why the Chinook lasted and the Sky Crane didn't over the long haul. And they only built a little over 100 Sky Cranes, and Erickson Airlift has the facilities and the rights to make the helicopter today, and for millions of dollars they will build you a brand new one, because they only do long line lift and the firefighting and stuff. The reason the Chinook outlasted it is because the Sky Crane was essentially a single purpose helicopter, just heavy lift, whereas the Chinook is not only heavy lift, it can't carry quite as much as a crane, but it's also a troop mover, because it's got an internal, fuselage, which the crane doesn't have. Yeah, it's true, you can put a pod on there, but that's not the same as having the guys inside the helicopter. Also, the Chinook is way faster, so you can get around a lot quicker. Chinook cruises 160 to 180, a crane cruises about 100, 110. So that made sense. But the Army ran the cranes until they were just about to fall apart. I saw a bunch of them in Pennsylvania Air National Guard and at Fort Indiantown Gap in about 1990. They were still impressive to look at. Massive machines. Yeah, they bought them from Sikorsky because Sikorsky knew they didn't need it anymore, and they've built about 7. Night Hoppy. They've built about I think 9 of them. They're handmade, so nice to know we still have the capacity though. But I'm not sure how troops would feel about being marched into a pod hanging from a helicopter. Yeah. Please tell me this thing can't be jettisoned. The newer Chinooks are supposed to be better about leaking, but that's relative, because the old A models and B models were notorious for leaking. I mean, you got 5 transmissions, 2 engines, 2 rotor heads. That's the pumping that fluid all over the place. That's how you knew it had hydraulic fluid. The stuff was leaking. Well, I understand why they stayed with the Chinook. It is a more versatile platform. The crane and the new Chinooks can carry almost as much as a crane. But the Marines, with that gigantic thing they've got now, that new latest Model C Stallion with the 3 engines and everything, looks like a gigantic flying Winnebago. That can outlift and outrun all of them. Yeah, the crane. And the first time I saw an Eagle Transport, first thing about, it's a Space Sky Crane. Well, he didn't tell me they didn't, so I suppose they did. Those were hardwood models that he had gotten down in the Philippines. So, I got the Snake one off of eBay for $10. he got the big white star lifter in the Philippines when he was down there, and I'm not sure where the Hustler. He probably just got that from the airplane shop or something. But all those airplanes have been the victims of shelf collapses and had tails and engines and stuff knocked off. They're all glued back together. The Super Duper Sea Stallion, only about is the mill the Ruskies have. Yeah, that borders on the impractical. And I was kind of surprised it was the Marines that got that thing, because that had to be a chunk out of their budget. But they can do a lot with it. It's a very capable helicopter. It should look smart for territory, yeah. But the Chinook's got one advantage, and I don't know about this later Super Sea Stallion, the Super Duper Sea Stallion. Maybe it corrected this problem. Well, it's one of the beauties of flying guys in the airlines. The guys who used to fly all this stuff, they can tell you all the behind the scenes stuff, and that is that. Hey, Hudal. Since the Chinook does not have an anti-torque rotor, it can go way up into the thin air without losing any directional control. I don't know about the CH-53K, but some of the Sea Stallions would get up there and the air would get so thin that the anti-torque rotor, that tail rotor, would start to lose its effectiveness, and they started losing directional control. The anti-torque rotor just didn't have enough. There wasn't enough air for it to bite. The Chinook didn't have that problem. They all had issues with ice forming on the rotor blades, which is no bueno. And that's one of the reasons the Chinooks could get up in the high altitudes of Afghanistan. Exactly, they didn't have to worry about a lack of anti-torque or directional control. Good. I'm glad they got some economy of scale. No, it is absolutely. I will not be buying an airplane. That was made very clear by high command that once I was done getting paid to fly, my wings were clipped. Which is, you know what, it's okay. I've been watching so much Blanco Lirio and Scott Perdue and Flywire, all these guys and Juan Brown, that I'll be honest, I'm getting scared to get an air small plane. Had a Cutlass. It would have been cool if they did. Arg, mateys, we're taking this ship. Now I need them. But that would make a great little diorama, a helicopter over a ship with a bunch of Navy SEALs wielding cutlasses.
Rappelling onto the deck.
Fast roping onto the deck, cutlass in their teeth, dagger in their teeth. I dare them. I double dog dare them. I triple dog dare them to dress like pirates next time they do that.
Robert Austin says, Sluggo, he can buy one cheap and pick it up on I-95.
No!
Ooh, too soon? Too soon?
Not at all, not at all. Everybody walked away, so not at all.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be just driving on I-95 and all of a sudden this plane just drops down right in front of you.
In Florida, it must be Tuesday. Yes, I can travel on JetBlue for free, but it's space available. I can get a full fare ticket at a discount. I mean a space positive ticket at a discount. If I'm traveling with a family, I absolutely buy tickets. If I'm just me, then I'll take a shot at I'll check the loads, and if it's not too full, I'll roll the dice, because I can buy the ticket at the last minute. But I actually don't travel that much, though. I mean, if you're doing it for 28 years, you can tend to stay home. I'll probably buy a ticket to go out and see Mike, because I can't get there from Florida on JetBlue in one day. I'd have to spend the night in New York. Plus, the LA flights are usually slam full. If I had the jump seat still, I'd risk it. But I tell you what, that's the one thing I miss is the jump seat. Every time I take it, I watch for watch for Mayday for a few hours and get over it real fast. There were Coast Guard and Marines. I think they had to have Coast Guard there to make it legal. It's like when a cop shows up with 30 National Guardsmen behind him. As long as there's a civilian police officer there, it's a civilian action. The other guys are just muscly. They're muscle. And then villains, yeah. You want to see me in a GB racer? It'd be easier if I screwed wings on my butt. Which, by the way, would look about the same. I'll put on red pants and just screw wings on my butt. Aren't twin-inch G? Yes, airplanes, light planes are the state bird in Florida. And one of the things I used to do, just because not at JetBlue, but at my previous carrier at Mesa, if you had a bird, you had to do a bird strike report. That's only, but they were asking me what type of bird, like I would know. So every time I just put in spotted owl.
So, Gavin wants to know, who's your long haul carrier of choice?
Whoever's cheapest and the schedule fits. I play no favorites. I've been doing a lot on Southwest when I do travel, just because they go, like when I go to see Mike, I go into Burbank. So that's Southwest or American, and Southwest usually has the fastest, cheapest flight. So, even I can wedge my butt in one of those seats for 3, 4, 7, 6 hours. I had a 4-hour layover in Denver because of that, but I was like, sit down. I'm used to hanging out at the airport. Walk around, see what they got. Just make it all part of the experience. When I'm alone, if you're traveling with your family, that's a whole different story. But being an airplane nerd, wandering around the airport, I'm like, no worries.
And Denver's not a bad place to be.
No, it's not. It's got a lot of good restaurants. Although one of them was stupid expensive, the real fancy one. And I'm like, $50 for friggin', no, go over and eat for $12. They even gave me the airline discount. Yeah, I'm sure a Bush pilot would landing on a highway was, no, retired captains can't ride jump seat, unfortunately. That's it. Yeah. I will say this. I traveled on the family with Delta, and I've traveled on with United, and I've traveled on with American. I haven't really seen that much difference in the experiences. They're all selling competitive products. And the one thing I will pay for, if I can, is a nonstop. Just get in the plane and land where you're supposed to land. And it's not because I have a problem with spending time at the airport. I normally just carry my little roll bag.
Where you really see the difference in airlines is when you go international.
Yes. But the thing I've had really good luck on United. I got to give them props for that. Delta was okay. Actually, we didn't have any real problems. But schedule is important. The reason I don't like to connect is every connection creates several potential failure points. You get on the airplane, even if your first flight leaves on time or early, what happens if it diverts? Or if the plane you're supposed to meet diverts, which has happened to me. It just, every time you got to stop that plane, get off, get on another plane and go, it starts a process of what if the plane breaks, what if a plane or he's just late. It's just,
What if the other plane gets delayed that you're supposed to connect to?
Well, Lance, I'm from Quincy, which is 20 miles from Tallahassee. And Tallahassee's never been a particularly busy airport. And I did a lot of flying out of there, a lot of flight instructing out of there. Go to the USO Lounge? I wish I could. Yeah, I like wandering around the airport. Is there an airline you wouldn't fly? In the United States, no.
Frontier.
Huh? I've flown on Frontier. Well, the thing is I'll fly on Frontier if the price is worth it and the schedule is worth it. But they are, them and Spirit are definitely a last choice. But if they're going where you know to go and they can save a couple $100, and I can pack myself in that seat. Now, back in the day, whenever you reported bird strike indicated a red coat. Yeah, they never did that, man. I'm pretty sure they burned it as soon as they saw it. Yeah, BA has a pretty good reputation. Do not fly with Owl Airlines to fly. Yeah, I could go down and start one out and just take it once. And Taiwan, okay. No, all the four restaurants. Birds have political leanings. Or a dove. Well, it depends. It hit the left wing or the right wing. South African. I actually heard good things about South African. I heard really great things about Thai Airways.
Cathay Pacific is great.
Is it? A lot of those Asian airlines, they really take good care of
KLM is great, and Lufthansa.
you. Hey, Edward. 350 captain for United. You know what? To be honest with you, Gavin, by the time you're flying, that'll still be in service. That's a very real possibility. I wanted to be an Eastern DC-9 captain. By the time I got in the airlines, Eastern wasn't even around anymore, and the DC-9s are on their way out. But I just hope they still have pilots. Apparently, there's a little bit of I don't know if the whole thing about the frozen chickens going through the windshield is apocryphal or not, but it's a funny story. The way the joke went was, all the windshields are shattering. Let's ask failure analysis what we're doing wrong. We're shooting all these birds they're going right through, and they came back, thaw the chicken. Yeah, people will they do nick the life jackets all the time. Braniff. Eva has, I don't know how good their service is, but I know they've had a lot of labor relations issues. Hey, I had a bird strike on a Harley in New Zealand, and I kid you not, I was doing about 100 kph down the road, and this friggin' hawk or something bounced off the windshield. I told people what happened. The local said he was attacking you. if I go on Spirit, yeah, they may make me fly the plane. One time Quebec wanted to make French the language was sued by all flight attendants in Quebec. I do know that I could be wrong, but I think all Canadian in-flight have to be bilingual, but I could be wrong on that. I don't know how many Canadians actually are bilingual with the French and the English, because I understand that even though they're both official languages, some places it's not as, obvious in Montreal and Quebec it's common. But
If you're not in Quebec, once you're out of high school, you're only English speaking.
Yeah, Rain Man would only fly Qantas. Yeah. I have some guys that flew for Allegiant. They've come a long way. Trust me, they got stories that made me cringe, but I'm sure it's gotten better. And
Did you ever fly Rainier? Or would you ever fly Rainier?
I'm not familiar with them. Oh, Ryanair. I just got down to it. Yeah, the Ryanair's in Europe, and like I say, if they were going where I needed to go, their safety their safety record's as good as any of them. They beat the crap out of their crews, but so does Southwest. But then again, they pay them as king's ransom, so they take it like a man.
I heard bags fly free on Southwest, so I drove my mother-in-law to the airport.
Melbourne Ray, okay. No, maintainer says he still speaks French.
Well, all the Canadians I know don't.
Flew on a DC-3 to a farm in Zimbabwe after a rainstorm. For miles there was water, but still landed. The old Goonie bird doesn't let you down. The one, if there was an airline I would try to avoid, it'd be Aeroflot. Yeah. Not the biggest fan of Cubana, because I've seen their derelict airplanes just rotting in the sun down there in Havana. Here's a hint: never fly an airliner from a country that has serious economic problems, because they're skimping on the maintenance. I think the whole flying with the standing flight was a gag. I can't believe they really meant that. In no way the authorities were going to allow it.
What was the point William Shatner saw the Gremlin on the wing. Was that a DC-6?
I think it was a DC-6.
Yeah. That was a great episode.
Okay, Lance. The 106 hitting the deer. I know of at least 3 airliner strikes on deer, and one of them was a Dash 8 that was being flown by a pilot I knew personally. He came in the ops room after he'd done it. That was in Charlotte, and they've had at least 2 of them hit in Orlando a long time ago. That's why they got those big fences. Yeah. Financial health of an airline. I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to speak ill of TWA or make it sound like they did anything wrong, because I don't think they did. But when they had TWA, the TWA 747 that exploded off the coast of New York, and failure analysis finally figured it out what had happened. But it was a very, very old 74100. It was one of the classics. And they were taking every shortcut they legally could on maintenance, but they weren't breaking any rules. Believe me, that was looked at very closely. But had they been in better shape financially, they probably would have already retired that airplane. They did have to put out an emergency AD for all the 074s for the centerline fuel pumps, and that was just a set of links in a chain that came to pass. And it was really, 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 really just a freaking tragedy.
I saw that plane when they put it back together.
Oh, yeah?
It was in the hangar in Calverton, which was the old Grumman facility where they used to build the F-14s.
Yeah.
And that was where they pieced it back together.
Yep.
It was amazing to see how much of the plane they got and put it back together. It was like the ultimate jigsaw puzzle.
KLS&C is talking about a KC-135 that hit a cow, caused the gear to collapse, and totaled the airplane. Now, understand, when you talk about totaling an airplane, that does not mean the airplane could not be fixed. It means it was not cost effective to do it. And so they parted out. Because there isn't an airplane out there that isn't worth more in pieces than it is as a flying unit. Hitting wildlife is actually a more common cause of mishaps than people think. And if you add cars into that, even more so. Let's see. Yeah, I would avoid riding on a Romanian airline of that area. To the KFC. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, why did I go notion this? A friend of mine hit a horse. Well, a guy I know hit a horse. And now he... Okay, time for I ran into an animal story. Oh, I didn't know about any 22 crashing. Okay. Now, when you talk about Africa, you can run anything. Well, giraffes, they got those long necks. They're an air hazard. They should have a flashing light on top of their head. So, a gentleman that I know who's done a lot of iffy stuff. Anyway, he was near Tallahassee. And he was going into someone's private strip, a little grass strip. The guy also had horses. He kept the horses in a corral. I guess he flew around to look first. I don't know, because he would let them graze out on the runway. Well, apparently the corral was open. When he landed, one of the horses spooked and ran in front of him. Now, he was probably going to hit the horse either way, but I would say he should have just, chop, drop, stop, hammer the brakes, pull the elevator back, and pray for the best. He tried, with full flaps, at rolling speed, he tried to go around. Full power. It didn't happen. He hit that horse. I don't even think he got the nose wheel up. He hit that horse dead on at full power with the front of the plane, with the propeller. You can imagine that, in turn, not only killed the horse, but the airplane, even though it was a tricycle gear airplane, it swiped the nose gear and the airplane went all the way over on its back. And he is frickin' lucky there wasn't a fire. It was a grass strip, luckily. But totaled the horse, totaled the plane. Ripped out over 9 F-111 on our way to NATO. F-111, yeah, people forget just how fast that airplane is. That airplane's got some giddy up and go. It's just not a fighter. Although they did put a gun on it at some points. F-111 with a gun. I'm gonna strafe them. Yeah, there was definitely. It was every bit the mess you could imagine. And airliner hitting a snowplow. They also totaled out a 747 hitting bulldozers when they took off of a closed runway on a rainy night. They just got confused. It happens. And of course, you have airplanes hitting each other all the time on the ground. They hit snowplows, bulldozers, vehicles, cart. I didn't hit the cart. It hit me. We're parked at the gate, engines off, parking brake on, jet bridge mated, min-FO and the little E-145, Embraer 145 getting ready, and all of a sudden, and we're like, what was that? He looks out his window, dude, we got a bag cart under the wing. We got an inspector. There's an 11-inch long gap. Gouged the crap out of the metal. And to make it worse, the E-145 has a wet wing. That skin is the fuel tank. Didn't penetrate. Plane was grounded till it could go back to the factory. Because they're like, yeah, you're not flying around with a big gouge in the gas tank.
One of my friends, he had a job in college. He drove the catering truck, the one that lifted up and they put the service on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
He hit the side of the plane, backing up or something, and that was the last time he drove the truck.
Most of the places that'll get you fired. Damage an airplane, you're gone. Most of them.
Yep.
Best thing other one was the fuel dump. Yeah, you spew the fuel out of between the engines. You get that nice big ball of fire going out there. Looks cool. There is an airplane I wouldn't want to fly. I wouldn't when United Feeder Service was around. I wouldn't have recommended them, but not because the pilots weren't good or anything. The British had an airplane called Hawker Siddeley 748, I believe, and it's a fairly popular commuter airliner, about a 35, 40 seater. And actually, know a guy that operated a couple of them. Well, as commuter airliners started getting bigger, they said, hey, let's make a bigger version of this. So they stretched it into a 66-seater, swept the tail, gave it some bigger engines, and changed. At first, it was the Jetstream 61, I think, but they changed the name to the ATP. And British Aerospace ATP. It was supposed to have a pair of like 4,000 horsepower engines, 6-bladed props, very quiet. Turned out they couldn't get the engines they wanted, so they wound up putting much smaller engines on it. So although a very quiet airplane, very comfortable riding airplane, if you smoked an engine in one, you were operating on some very thin margins. And they had one chuck going out of Dearborn, I think is where they were based. And they had a pilot, 66 in a jump. He had a fully loaded airplane, including the jump seat. Fortunately, the pilot had been around a while. They took off. One of the engines went nighty-night on them. But it did auto feather, like it was supposed to. But the pilot trimmed it up, and he had it cleaned up. But all he could do was keep going straight for miles out over the lake. Thank God there were no obstacles. The thing just didn't want to climb. And they finally got high enough they could turn around, come back, and land. So, probably a great airplane, lightly loaded. No, NTSB does not do a investigation on parked aircraft. If the parking brake is on and the engines are off, they're not really worried about it. Nor did the FAA. That stayed within the company. Hi, Dario. Okay. Ran an ambulance into a C-141. That ruined everybody's night. Yeah, I've heard the A340 was underpowered. It has 4 engines, but they're really small. Name for the VARC was Spring Death. I remember I took that big Aurora model the big one from, was it Aurora? Yeah, F-111. Rammed a couple of D-12-5s up the back of it to see it. Hey, it moved! You just kind of went like that and just sort of... And that thing was made of such heavy plastic it didn't really even hurt the kit. Jesus. You know, one of the things that comforts me is when I go into airports like St. Croix and all the carts are pushed up by hand. Nothing makes me more nervous sitting in the cockpit of an airliner than all those motorized vehicles running around. No one usually worry about the fuel truck. Those guys know what they're doing. But you see these guys driving like idiots in the carts. I'm always happier when I see them just the ones that you have to push up. And I'm like, yeah, you can only hit the airplane so hard when it's one person power. You ran a Toyota Corolla into a Toronto police car. I'm sure you made a friend that night.
Several friends.
You think the B-29 was underpowered? That R6V Constitution they made two of, that gigantic thing that had B-29 engines. I mean, it's twice the size of a B-29. It's got the exact same engines. Yeah, that was underpowered. Underpowered seems to be the go-to in a lot of aircraft. I mean, it's almost like they never make the A model with enough power. And so, what else we got? We're just about wrapping up time here. This has been fun, not having to worry about finding pictures and everything, just yammering away, having a grand old time. Chatting with everyone. Oops. Ooh, come back here. Whoa! I got two sidebars on here. If I grab the wrong one, I want to scroll the whole page instead of just the comments. God dang it. My mouse is acting goofy. The Constitution had 4360s. Okay. Never fly the A model. Absolutely. And remember that, Gavin, when you're flying. If your airline says that, oh, we're buying a new aircraft type, we're going to be the launch customer for the new Airbus or the new Boeing or the new Embraer, you make sure not to bid that airplane for at least 2 years.
We have a comment wants to know what viewers' builds are upcoming.
All righty, let me get on that here. We are, by the way, we're going to watch my wife and I are going to watch F1 tonight. Okay. We got the Wild West coming up in just a couple of days. Actually, it's due in 2 days. Then we're gonna have an Irwin Allen build. So that's like, any of the Irwin Allen productions. So that's Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Land of the Giants, Lost in Space. What else? What am I overlooking here, Steve? Time Tunnel, and you can do something that's in an Irwin Allen movie. It doesn't have to necessarily be the hero vehicle. Then first, we're going to do a first build. Build the first model you remember making. We're going to have a Navy jet build. We're going to have another armor build. We'll have a crossover build. So mix two genres, have cowboys fighting tanks or something. We're going to do a seaplane build, a box art build, make it look like the box art, an oddities build, which is just find something weird to make. And then that's not quite right build, which is something that you can get a kit of. You're like, something about that ain't right. And in other words, you can take a model and deliberately do something wrong on it and see if we catch it. And if you've got any suggestions for some other stuff, I will be glad to consider it. But right now, it's just the Wild West build. And this may get moved around as people come up with other ideas. Skyraider did not use the turbo compound. Okay. Oh, wow. I just posted the build schedule there, and so God, if it didn't, most of it go in there. But I'll I'll set it back up. All right. Well, Steve, what else we got going? I guess Ken's AWOL. I should probably check on him.
Well,
I sent him the link, I think. He hasn't called. I never heard back from him. He may be out on the boat. I'm sure something's going on. No big deal. And you know what? We might add a build to that, something like interwar aircraft or interwar military equipment. We could also do one on cars of the 1930s or the 1950s.
why don't we do an IndyCar build for the Indy 500 Memorial Day?
When's Memorial Day? I think I'd know that.
May.
Okay, let me... I don't have an IndyCar model, but that's the Navy jet one. But I'll tell you what. All right, let's do IndyCar May, and make it okay. And we'll move the jet to June. That could work because it doesn't take that long to build an IndyCar model. Copy. Save. All right. So we got an IndyCar build on there. All the models I got, I don't have an IndyCar. I could probably get one pretty easy. If Ken gets a sailboat violation, he's judged by a jury or peers. Ken's 3-hour tour started yesterday. Yes, it will include pace cars.
Yeah, include pace cars. Yep.
And simplify it to a racing build to cover any type of racing.
No. That's another build. That's a different build.
You know what? I can add a race car build on for a later date, though. Let me open
do it later in
back
the
up.
year.
And because you get too specific, you don't get a lot of submissions. But let's okay. And we'll do a race car build for November next year. There we go. Paste. Oops. Save. That's what I want to do. All right. Well, boys and girls, it's 9:01. It's time to say nighty-night. I'm going to go ahead and just run the outro if you guys want to chat for a little bit. We'll talk to you later. Steve, any parting thoughts or shots?
Good night, guys, and make sure you get all that Christmas shopping done for yourself for the stuff you know you're not going to get.
Yep. Get what you want, not what they give you. Guys, appreciate you coming out. We'll talk to you later. As always, model on. When you got to back up the wall and zoom back to take pictures of all the new models, life is good. MPC 747 United. MPC 747 Pan Am. Carmichael Airliner models. Ward Air DC-10. I'm not familiar with this Carmichael Airlines or Airliner Models company. Nishimo Sonia with no decals. I do believe I'll be taking this one home myself. I got plenty of Japanese decals. Let's see what we got here. The MPM Ferry Fulmar, Arado 196 by HIPM, AZ Models Ferry Firefly, Nishimo Key 45 Nick. Got the Hasegawa AR-234B2. Got a Hasegawa 148 scale C6N1. I believe that was Mert. And then we got the Pete biplane, also Hasegawa 148 scale. That's F1M. Let's see, we got the Defiant Night Fighter version, which is actually fairly successful, that by Classic Airframes. More Hasegawa roof. Let's get down here, and okay, there's a Hasegawa Raiden Hinchel 129 Hasegawa. Is that the Toryu? And okay, there's the Gecko of Tamiya, and the Tamiya, they call that the Hayakushiki Shita. I'm not really that familiar with that one. Then we have a Potez Edward BF110E. Got a bunch of stuff here by Special Hobby. We have the Skua, Blackburn Skua, the Barracuda, all the airplanes the British want to forget about, the Albacore. Then we have, oh, here we go. Accurate Miniatures, these are great kits. This is a TBF Avenger. And then we have another Special Hobby. That's the Brewster Buffalo. That's in 148. And that is Battle of Midway artwork. I think it's got some photo etch in it. Let's see, AM Tech HS 123. Okay, what am I looking at here? Navy Cure. This is fine molds. Most of it's in Japanese, but yeah, the D4Y2. That's there's a Val. That's Hasegawa. Ruse of the Grace. That's a Hasegawa. Here's a famous Kate that we were just talking about, and judging by the one red band, what is that off of? The Akagi. And judging by that tail flash, that tells you the squadron leader or flight or section leader. Okay, then we got the Jill attack bomber, also by Hasegawa, and Special Hobbies. What is this? Oh, get down here where I can see it. Ow! I hope I can get back up. Model 162 AF. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Oh God! Ow! I just heard my knees explode. Okay. Ferry Battle Trainer. And these are by Classic Airframes. MPM, the little PE-2 bomber. I built this kit, have it on the shelf, and I think I have another one in the box, a Tamiya F-84G. Excellent kit. It's Tamiya. I have built the SB2U Vindicator, this very one from the Battle of Midway, aircraft number 6. You can tell by the hospital tape stripes. Another just ridiculously detailed 148 scale kit. Great kit. Let's see, what do we get next? The Hasegawa Stuka 140, most of them are 148 stuff. The Curtis Seamew by Czech Models, and that's an American airplane we want to forget we ever built. Then we have the Classic Airframes Grumman J2F Duck, great airplane. I knew some guys that crewed those things, I thought the world of it. And a Tamiya Bristol Bowfighter. Oh, we got stacks more, folks. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get to all of this, so hang on just a second. And this is just the intro video. Okay, we got the Hinchel 126. This is by ICM. We have a Tamiya Henkel 219 Uhu, the night fighter. That is a fighter, not a bomber. You could not get more French Navy than this. The Lure Newport. I actually saw a documentary on this on one of the channels recently. It's by Special Hobby. And yes, that's a real plane. Dragon Models, the Salamander, the HE 162. And since he got these in a lot, there are some really good prices. This kit's only going for 20 bucks. This is a 148 scale Dragon Salamander. He said Dragon Salamander. Do I even need to tell you what those ME262? This one's by DML. $32. Got some great deals here, guy. But these aren't going to last, so get down to Hurricane Hobbies. What do we got next? Okay, here we have the DML Messerschmitt 163 for $24.99. And he's got notes handwritten on it. Contains Falcon Vac canopy, kit supplied PE parts. So some of these don't have decals, but if they don't, the boxes are marked, but some of them have extras. And so he's just writing it on the cover. Keep life simple. This is by Battle Axe. It's the Block 174A3, which I believe was an early pre-war plane. They don't have a picture of it on here. I have heard of Battle Axe, but this is the first time I think I've actually ever seen one. Okay, here's a classic, $29.99, a Hankel 111, the 148 scale from Monogram. Contains resin cockpit, Falcon canopy, but does not have decals. Still a great deal. Okay, here's a killer kit. The Doolittle Raider B25B by Accurate Miniatures. And it says, True Details B25 resin wheel set included. Oh, if I'd had this for our B25 build. If you're a Doolittle fan like I am, that's the ticket. All right, BF110 by Wingtech. This is from Cyber Hobby, but it's a Wingtech kit. 148 scale. I'm not really familiar with it, but looks good. Here we go. The TBD Devastator. This says VT8 at Midway. So that's Waldron Squadron from the Hornet. And just an amazing airplane for when it came out in 1936, I think, and 2 years later completely obsolete. But they fought the war with what they had. You could tell it's one of Waldron's planes because he was the one that got the Dauntless ring mounts to get dual 30 calibers. They were the only TBDs the battle had twin 30s. For all the good it did them, but you know, I like the way the man thinks. Okay, here's the resin wheels are included in this Tamiya Betty bomber. This is basically the torpedo version of the one I just recently built, the Yamamoto plane. Great kit. Revell 148 scale PV1 Ventura. Revell PVY Catalina, the 148 scale. And you guys may remember I just used this box art in our video about Pearl Harbor when we were talking about the red and white stripes on the tail, the pre-war markings, and why this box art has one technical inaccuracy. None of the TBFs were in those markings when they saw battle. So, and I don't think they lost any out in the ocean before they saw combat. So that's the only technical glitch on this one. And plus, I don't think any Avenger crews. The Avenger wasn't around for Coral Sea. It got its debut at Midway. By then, they'd already painted the rudders gray. And I don't think they fished any Avenger crews out of the water. And later than that, they wouldn't have had that red and white stripe. So, what can I say? And I hold my box art artist to a higher standard. Boy, talk about picking a nit. And here's the Revell Junkers JU-52. And that is 148 scale. Now this is the Fieseler, the Tamiya Fieseler. It has always been a very expensive kit, and even here it's $68.99. But this thing, the price on it is, it must be like one of their super kits because it's every time I've seen it, it's been very expensive. Maybe something they did a limited run on, but it's a 148 scale. And I imagine, given how complex the Fieseler is, it's probably got a gazillion parts. I don't know, but it's got one. Tamiya Fairy Swordfish contains mostly PE cockpit. $49.99. Tamiya Gloucester Meteor, and 148 scale. Tamiya Wildcat, $27.99. Boy, he's got all the good quality kits. This gentleman was quite the collector. And Messerschmitt BF110 from Revell in 148 scale, $34.99. Now here's a Russian, I guess that'd be a light bomber. You don't see a lot of the Tu-2, the Tupolev-2. Everybody remembers the PE-2, but Tupolev made his competing aircraft. And $49.99, and this one is